We are episode 9, Badass Records. Jason Proffitt. What the fuck is up? In the place to be. Coming on the mic is motherfucking Jason motherfucking P. Had to do that.
I love it.
I wanted to do this last episode, but I forgot. Just a little Zappa shout out.
I like it. Big Mothers of Invention.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh, so he, funny story. About 50% of guests booked have like bailed because.
Well, yeah, you said you were having problems with people doing it.
Well, I mean, and so asking you to come an hour late, I was like, but
like I said, I was so jazzed about doing
nice.
this. I slated the whole day for it.
But I had somebody bail, and wait. At one point, I had 2 people in a row that had picked different 311 records.
So how weird was my?
We'll get to yours.
Okay.
But I was like, why are you 2 episodes in a row talking about 311? Okay, cool. And then the one dude bailed, so then it was just one. And then the last of the dude that came Tuesday followed a dude that picked a Beatles record, and he picked a Beatles record. And I was like, oh, well, back-to-back Beatles records is clearly an upgrade over back-to-back 311 records.
I will say, getting off on a kind of a tangent,
that's what we're going to do a lot of.
311 fans are the friendliest people.
They are, yeah.
They're right up there with Dave Matthews Band fans. They got their cargo shirts on and they're gigging around.
Yeah.
The moment they started off the concert that I did actually go, I have a friend that I used to work at Tipsy's with.
Oh, yeah.
Liquor store. Huge 311 fan. So we went to see them at the Granada in Lawrence.
Ooh, when?
Oh, this is easily 9-10 years ago.
I bet that was probably pretty fun.
It was.
Okay.
We were clearly the oldest people in the theater.
Are you guys our safe ride? We are not.
So they start the show off with Beautiful Disaster.
Okay.
And it was like watching a movie. It was a wave of marijuana smoke that just, and it was like hanging out with Snoop Dogg. It was like pass and just down the road, just lit joints, just going. I'm going. I am going to die.
Yeah. So,
but they are friendly.
Yeah. So the episode 7 chose the White Album, and then this dude chooses Sgt. Pepper's, which blew my mind.
That's an interesting choice.
So we're whatever, I don't know, an hour and a half in, and we start. I'm like, man, I just can't even believe. And he's like, well, you asked me to pick what the world believes is the greatest album of all time, and I was like, no, I didn't. I asked you, and he's like, oh, well, then that's not my album at all. I'm like,
well,
okay,
yeah.
So what? Freak Out, Mothers of Invention, and I was like, that shit is super duper bananas. I mean, and McCartney actually said that that Freak Out was the inspiration for Sgt. Pepper's.
Oh,
and I mentioned a couple Zappa quotes, basically like kind of shitting on the Beatles. I mean, like if you want to talk about a band and talent, like I'll choose the Monkees over the Beatles. And I was like,
yeah,
okay. But he mostly just hated how commercialized, so you have to, I gotta actually just.
Very, and they were average musicians at best.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm certain there's plenty of people that would debate you on that out there, but this quote, man, I didn't hate them. I actually liked 2 or 3 of their songs. I just thought they were ridiculous. What was so disgusting was the way they were consumed and merchandised. No music has succeeded in America unless it was accompanied by something to wear, something to dance to, or a hairdo. A phenomenon is not going to occur unless you can dress it up. I was like, that sounds just like something Frank Zappa would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
what is your favorite Zappa album?
Oh my God, it's Joe's Garage, that's where
I go back and forth between Joe's Garage and Chic Your Booty.
Okay, Chic was my favorite when I was green, when I was new.
Right.
I hadn't spent any time with Joe's yet, but so the Central Scrutinizer. I mean, I have talked about it as recently as last episode, but I mean, it to me is like just a fucking masterpiece. I mean, all of the just introspection into, commercializing music, like garage band whose mom wants them to turn it down and they sign a label and it destroys them, and then all of that affects their personal lives, and then he caps it off with these just monster, gorgeous ballads to close Act 3, and it's just like, dude.
Yeah, he is amazing.
I mean, I was really Bobby Brown Goes Down from Chic Your Booty. Hey there, people. I mean, that one.
Absolutely.
And I want a tiny little Jewish princess.
I don't know why, but the lyric, a grinder, a bumper with a pre-moistened dumper, hit me when I was in the shower 3 days ago.
Oh, nice.
I could not. I was like, why did that jump in my head?
I want a tiny little Jewish princess with overworked gums who squeaks when she comes. What? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what you want? All right. I mean, she's out there. Go find her. But Overnight Sensation and Apostrophe, Chic Your Booty, Weasels Rip My Flesh.
Yeah.
There's a couple others that 5 or 6, including Joe's.
Right.
For me, are the wheel, like the Mothers of Invention stuff. I'm like, I can't get through that. It's, and then I mean, a lot of the '80s shit. Like he fucking put his guitar down. He was just composing and and generating, like, not only on an idea level shit that was out of this world, but on a technical production level.
Yeah.
I mean, he was light years ahead of people.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just like, no wonder he fucking put out 65 records or whatever it was, and that's hardly even looking at the live stuff that
it's insane.
And I was thinking about this in the shower today. So when I've got a list of like 90 songs that this kind of took 13, 14 months from inception to go live for episode 1. And for a lot of that time, I would just, if I would hear a song that had a little, line or riff in it that sounded groovy,
right,
I would make a note of it, because I wanted to do unique intro audio and outro audio for each episode. My brain doesn't know how this works, but I'm aware that it is a thing that exists. All you have to do is upload something into YouTube, and it can, nope, there's copyright shit in there. And it gets flagged. So of 8 episodes, I think 6 have copyright claims on them.
Okay.
And for some of them, it's because I think, like, I put it, I think maybe 10 seconds is
that's the cutoff.
I think.
Okay.
So what I was doing was, like, plopping 10 seconds at the beginning of this one song and 10 seconds of, at the end.
Right.
And then I figured out how to, like, cut them. So I would find, kind of the, like, 16 seconds that I want, and, like, just splice shit out. And it's very obvious. It sounds horrible, but I don't give a fuck. I'm more interested in this content.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I actually put we talked about a little green Rosetta from Joe's, which is like the title track, Joe's Garage, the garage band that it all falls apart.
Right.
But a little green Rosetta is, I mean, it's where a failed music, your job.
I can see the look on your face, and that's exactly what's going through my head.
What?
For that song, just
It's so this dude who had all this promise and talent that was part of this band. Now his job is to squeeze a little green flower on a muffin as it goes by on a conveyor. So, we talked about that, and that just, I mean, it's the song portion is great, but then there's like, I don't know, 3 or 4 little vignettes where he's like, and now we're going to do in the third world where, the kerosene generator sometimes runs out of fuel in the middle of the jam, and they do, and then all the musicians, like they, so I took like 4 or 5 snippets of Green Rosetta and kind of just mashed them into this awful sounding thing. I was like, whatever, I'm done. And I noticed, I'll say, copyright disclaimer, I don't own this, these are samples from these songs from this album, that was put out by this label. And I saw when I went to Joe's Garage, there's a whole lot more verbiage than any other artist I've seen. It's like exclusive, making sure, which what I was thinking about in the shower is like the fucking Zappa family trust, like grinds my gears sometimes. And it's like, I get it, because they were very savvy, and they were like, this man produced like, a dump truck full of material across his lifetime, and we need to protect it.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm paying homage here, and I didn't take 10 straight seconds, so I mean, and it got flagged.
And it's stuff that you would have to be almost a fan to realize what it is.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of funny things over the years I've come across where it's like, oh, well, this isn't happening, or this is happening because the family trust says so. And it's like, all right, man. I mean, we're like continuously honoring his legacy. Like, I have, who knows how many cassette tapes and vinyl, and I pay for a streaming subscription. So there's not a way for me to like give you more money as a consumer of your product than I already am or have. So like, and I'm sure that the technology's not going to go, oh, that guy had a good heart.
You're right.
We'll let that one slide. But so what it looks like is, it's like you have to meet all these criteria on YouTube, enabled to be offered the opportunity to monetize.
Oh, okay.
You don't just get upload and then money starts coming in. It's all this shit. So I think it means nothing because I'm so, brand new, and there's like very few views and followers and what all. So, but if it got to a point where my stuff, I qualify, and then I am generating some kind of ad, whatever.
Okay.
I think it goes to that copyright claim and says, this episode you don't get the money for because, which whatever. I don't give a shit. I'm not doing this for money.
No. Correct.
But what I really don't want is, that I'm glad that so far it's working out, it would be for them to take it down. Like if I do a 3-hour episode,
that's somebody's job to sit there. I picture those things in like one of the Matrix movies, those things that are chasing the Nebuchadnezzar
Sentinels.
Yeah. That's what I think of whenever I hear the copyright ghouls at YouTube.
And I mean, I think you can appeal, but I don't think people are very successful with,
Not hardly.
So, which is just another dude going, nope, nope. But yeah, man, fucking Green Rosetta. And he just, I mean, and this is actually how I sampled that track. I appreciate this so much as just one nuance in one Frank Zappa song. He opens and he's like, a little green Rosetta, and then he just changes his inflection and says the same words, and it makes it sound like a whole, like you're driving 2 different cars.
Right.
It's so fucking, then they go, a little green rosy tea, it's really really meaty. I'm like, you're the best.
He just kind of Jackson Pollock's his lyrics.
I know, but he knows like where every drop what tube each drop came from, and who's holding what brush, and if they had too many beers last night.
Correct.
I think it was pretty hard to stay in his good graces. But have you ever like YouTube rabbit hole interviews with him?
Yeah, I did one night, and it was 4 hours later.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and you probably just scratched the surface.
Yeah,
I mean, there's one. He's smoking in most of them, but there's one where he's already been sick for a while, and he's just got his Winston's, and the gal is like, "Frank, you're dying of cancer," and he's like, "I see cigarettes as a food group, and right now tobacco is my favorite food group." Next question, she's just like, "What do you?" And then when he went to Congress on the the RMC
RCMP,
yeah, something like that. Like all those politicians were like, how come nobody told us this is what was going to go on today? They just look like fucking morons because he's just like, got his pile of papers and like, not that he even needs them because it's all crystal.
Yeah, he has nothing. He has no problem.
John Denver and Dee Snider are like, what he said. Oh my God. So, where were you born?
Fort Worth, Texas.
No shit.
Yep.
You still have family there?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Tons of family. We moved here like almost right after. It was during the race riots in 71 or 72. When my parents got here, we lived down on Troost, and there was tanks lined up. From what my mom said,
my dad said there was a time where it was pretty common to see folks on their porch with just fucking rifles.
Yeah,
just seeing what's up. Like,
yeah. So yeah, I was born there, and then we moved up here almost immediately because my father's a neurologist.
Okay,
and he was doing his residency at KU.
Nice.
So
very nice. That's the. This would also, if I want. Do you know the song "Fee" by Fish?
I'm sure I've heard it.
Whoa, Fee.
Okay.
He sings all of the verses
through the megaphone.
Yeah, and then puts it down. But they have a song called Susie Greenberg, and it's just a silly little like dance poppy upbeat energy kind of number that they really turn into. My youngest sister was at the show, the last show they played here, and they really huge couple 3 keyboard solos in that song, and Paige has like, he's surrounded and he's got like 3 different organs. He's got so many options that he can go, he can really just jazz on his baby grand and make you get down. He can get on the clav and get all waka waka waka, but during one of those solos during Susie Greenberg, the place was going bananas, and our little group of people, and my sister turns around and she was like, "You didn't tell me that Fish shows were like big dance parties." I'm like, "Why the fuck do you think I come?"
That's it.
Like,
that's why.
But in Susie Greenberg, she's this crazy girl that somebody probably loves, and in the refrain they say, says she wants to be a sociologist, but she better first get checked by a neurologist. She had a smart fella for an old man.
Yeah.
And is he still around?
Yeah. No, he lives down in Austin, Texas.
Oh.
He's 77, so he's getting to that age where all he does is play golf anymore.
Oh, nice. Folks still together?
No. No, that ship sailed a long time ago.
Just gonna say that.
Yeah, he could not stop fucking other women. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hopefully he's slowed down now.
But if his junk still works, then why?
Yeah, well, I guess.
And keep on keeping on, Dad. Man. So siblings?
A sister and a stepsister.
Okay.
From my mom when she got remarried.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where's mom?
She lives in Prairie Village.
Okay. Okay. And so your sister lives?
She lives in Rich Hill, Missouri. They moved out.
Amish country.
Yeah.
Mennonites.
Yeah.
And is she younger?
Yeah, she's 40. It's 4-year difference. Yeah, so she's 47.
Okay.
I'll be 51 next weekend. So.
Oh shit! Well,
yeah.
Happy birthday early.
Thank you.
I feel like there's probably a cold one and some wings at Lou's on the docket at some point.
I would hope so.
Or outdoor beverages.
Oh yeah.
So if he was asked to put a one-line summary of why things. Would he say the exact same thing? Does he own it?
No, he's a huge narcissist.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, so it would nothing is ever his fault. Everything is kind of as you do, and I have to fight that.
Because you got it in you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yep.
So I have to. It's
Yep.
a constant battle to not go. Everything's happening to me.
Right. It's like Bill Burr when he talks about having, white whatever evil in him.
Yeah.
He's like, I got it in me too.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Sometimes I feel it creeping up, and I got to push it down.
Yep.
That's why I try to dress casual. I put on a suit, and I'm like, I want to take over some shit.
Yeah.
Oh man. So are you close, you and your dad, or
No.
no? Okay.
We talk every now and then on the phone, but
Right.
he's a douche.
Oh,
So, yeah.
that's a bummer.
He's a rich douche, which makes it kind of sad.
Yeah,
because he's got he's got a place down in Cancun.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Well, I mean, if he's a neurologist, he's probably
or it's not Cancun, it's Cabo.
okay.
But yeah,
I had one buddy and his family go to Cabo for spring break just a few weeks ago, and then my ex took our kids to Florida, and they were in Fort Lauderdale, and both of them simultaneously were like, "Spring break has changed. There is so much skin out," and I was like,
really.
neither one of you are sending me any pics. How do I know? Didn't happen if you can't prove, But I can only imagine. I mean, just the way people dress walking around, I'm like,
That's
okay.
That's one of the only reasons I want to go and actually hang out at his villa or whatever. He sends me pictures of all the time.
Good job, Dad.
Look what you're not doing. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. Yeah, from the distance between you and the subject of the photo, it looks like you're not doing it either. So how old were you when they split?
12.
Okay.
Relatively young.
Music in the house, when was he listening to music, or mom listening to music, or the radio on, or
I think it was Earth, Wind, and Fire.
there you go.
Which I love Earth, Wind,
Yeah.
and Fire. It has some painful memories for me.
Oh, okay, yeah, I bet. But is that just like a lone, or was a lone memory, or was there typically music, or
More for my mom
okay,
than my dad.
interesting.
She was a big. I mean, she was a kid from the 40s.
Okay,
So she was around when the Beatlemania exploded. So obviously had all of their albums, but also like Earth, Wind, and Fire and Jim Croce.
oh wow, nice.
The band.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot the dude from episode 8 that was on the car on Grateful Dead tour at 6 when they were trying to interview him. He came out and saw the Dead at Sandstone and had a sheet of acid with him and was just giving out doses. And then all the shows that he saw after, people would see the car and be like, "Oh,
okay."
And this one dude, he was like, "Hey, man, you were so kind. I got to repay you." And he's like, "All right." And he put out his hand, and the dude just squeezed like a whole dropper of liquid into his hand. And he goes, "So anyway, the next day," and I was like, "What? You lost a day?" And he's like, yes, for that time. And then there's some other things that I like, but so they're trying to interview him, and he's like, and I don't know why, but I would only answer in my best Bob Dylan voice. So they're trying to understand.
You have got some nerve to call me your friend.
So they're trying to figure out how this 16-year-old kid is like, a day and a half distance from home in this car on tour, and he's 16, and he'll only answer in Bob Dylan voice. But
wow.
Man, that's hilarious. So mom had quite like an eclectic mix
like
of
Billy Joel.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's when I got my first real love of stand-up comedy, because my parents and my aunt and uncle on my dad's side, all went and saw him in concert.
Who?
Steve Martin.
Oh, nice. Oh, wow.
So they had like 3 or 4 of his albums, and that's when I first got my love for stand-up comedy. Was
Very cool.
I would stay up late at night and play him, and hold a hairbrush in front of my mouth.
Yeah.
Say his jokes.
Yeah. I got my first, this tiny little thing, but I bought a Bobcat Goldthwait show, and the only reference I had was he's the guy from Police Academy movies that kind of creeps me out a little bit. And why is he talking? I don't know how to turn that off, by the way. It just does it. And why does he talk like that? Because I think now he's touring again, and I don't think he does the voice anymore.
He does not do that anymore. And he's actually pretty brilliant.
Yeah. But the one bit, it would all come back to me if I listened to that show again. But the one bit I remember was how much he loves Tab. And he's like, there's so much shit in here. You look at the ingredients, the see other can.
But yeah, I would do that constantly when I was younger. Richard Pryor albums,
nice.
Red Fox.
Oh man,
Robin Williams.
I would love to spend some time. I've never even seen or heard 2 minutes worth of Steve Martin do stand up, but I've heard it's pretty great.
His stuff back 78, 79. When he wore the white suit,
right,
did the banjo thing, was just some of the best comedy I'd ever heard in my life.
So, did you start listening to stand-up comedy before music or simultaneous? Okay,
before music.
Wow.
And then when I got into probably middle school, junior high is when I started really opening my ears to music.
And how would you consume it? Were you buying tapes? Were you listening to the radio, hanging out with friends?
Started out with albums that I would buy.
Vinyl.
Yeah.
Nice.
First money I ever earned doing chores, I bought Motley Crue's Shout at the Devil.
Wow.
Just went.
How did you land on that one?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think because it looked scary. The front of the album cover, it had the big pentagram. Had the big pentagram on it, and But then I actually started listening to the music, and then went from AC/DC on up.
Nice.
And then I would say in high school, my older cousin Andy really turned my taste more eclectic. I started listening to everything.
Nice.
Yeah.
My folks bought a place at 83rd and Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Russell is one block west of Lamar.
Right.
And there's at 83rd and Lamar is like a Jewish community temple. But that's where I went to kindergarten. And then it closed. But if you went the other direction on 83rd and hit Metcalf, there's a little strip of shops.
Okay.
And there was a Shop and Go there. And it was like...
I do remember that.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the portal for my mind. And I could at some point ride my bike there. I could get like a fucking fountain soda, some Big League Chew.
Oh yeah.
And that's where my baseball card collection was born. Like every time I could go. But one time my dad took me in there to buy me some cards, and there was a spiral notebook with Kiss on the cover, and just each member. And then Kiss, and I was like, Dad.
When rock and roll was scary.
And he was like, why? And I was like, I just want it. And then he got it for me, and just, the look of disgust. And I, never used it. I just, every once in a while, I would take it out and be like, I still don't know why I wanted this, but I'm kind of glad I have it, because it gives me some kind of connection to what you just said. There's this potentially scary element in rock and roll. I don't know if it's actually scary or just...
Like Alice Cooper, his stage shows back in the 70s were amazing. Decapitations.
Yeah, biting off the heads of bats or
that was
doves.
Ozzy.
Right. Yes, you're right. Ozzy. You're right. My bad. But still, they were both figures in that. Yeah. What's going on right now?
I never knew that you collected baseball cards.
I got...
Holy moly!
Yeah, I don't have this. That I got a shoebox in this, and it lasted. What I really loved and I would get these. I still have them. Topps sticker albums, and I would get those at Shop and Go, and you could buy a pack of. So each team had a page, and it was like the shape of a diamond. And so if you got the catcher for the A's, it went down here, and then and then at the end it would have scenes from the previous postseason.
Oh wow!
So you'd have like the ALCS and NLCS and the World Series, and I mean, I could grab one of them. The cover is Gary Carter in an Expos uniform behind the plate.
Oh wow!
It's just an epic shot because I loved Gary Carter. Like I knew, like I'm gonna grow up and play probably professional baseball for the Royals. But them and I will have to figure out what position I'm gonna. But it's not gonna be catcher because no thanks. So that was when there was like this kind of posse of just badass catchers like him and Terry Kennedy of the Padres, and I mean there are a few more, but
Johnny Bench.
Johnny Bench. But I loved that shit.
And you're gonna think this is weird, a kid from Texas. I have always collected hockey cards.
Really?
From day one. That was the only card. And I have a book about the size of the one you just showed me, full of hockey cards.
Where, like they were just wherever you went, you could find?
Yeah.
Because I have
a Guy Lafleur rookie card.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a picture of me as a small child sitting on my desk, and behind where I'm standing on the street, and it's cold out because I have a coat and a hat on, and you can see the venue sign behind me, and it's Fort Worth versus Dallas hockey.
Like AHL or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Saw my first hockey game when I was probably 6.
Damn.
At the Fort Worth Coliseum.
Okay.
Fort Worth Chicken Hawks. It was back when, goalies didn't wear masks. I remember that and just fell in love.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, there are many things about the world and the history of the human race that every time I think about them, I'm just like, what? The fact that goalies didn't wear masks and like it's still like not so terribly long ago did that stop or change for the first time, and one of the most looked forward to portion of the All-Star weekend nowadays is the slap shot contest. And they're putting 102s and 104s on the gun. And you know that, like, back when goalies didn't wear masks, it wasn't coming in that hot, but it was still coming in hot.
It was still coming in hot.
I mean,
to this day, I would still play without my jock before I play without my mask.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and then 100%. So you go from the nothing to the Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
It's like, you're almost completely obstructing his vision.
Yeah.
And only this front surface is protected. Like, you think the face is more important than the brain? Fucking absolutely bananas.
Yeah, I have a replica, one of those masks.
Okay.
Like one of the first ones that was made. And I don't know how they played those things.
Absolutely
you have
bad shit.
You have no periph.
Nope.
Nothing.
I mean, loose puck. And I mean, any activity around the crease. Somebody tell me what's going on because I can't see anything.
Yeah. It is weird because, it's happened a couple times where my mask got knocked off. And it is really, for just a second before the ref blows the play dead.
Terrifying.
It's terrifying, but it's also really freeing because you can see everything. There's not like a hot thing pressed against your fucking face.
Yeah. I always, I couldn't tell you how many times this has happened, but skating out, you get like, however it happens, you lose a puck in your feet for a second. And for a split second, you go, is this why everybody would prefer nothing but go with this as opposed to a cage? Because that doesn't happen. And the answer to myself is always, I doubt that it really makes that much of a difference. Maybe it does, but it seems...
I think it does.
Like cage
versus visor.
Okay.
I think it makes a big difference.
Okay.
Just as somebody who wore a mask
Right.
my entire career.
Right. Well, I'm glad you went there because that's how we know each other.
Yes.
Is from, I mean, we played together for,
Oh my God.
better part of 20 years.
Yes, I can remember when you came over to us from the Hitman, and I was like, "Oh God, it's one of these dudes."
I do. Yeah, I've heard those words come out of your mouth in the locker room many times.
And then, but
And I'm coming into the door like, why would I come play with these fucking, you know? And then once you're in the room, you're like,
well, because for context, our team and the Hitmen were bitter.
I mean,
bitter.
It's like Red Sox, Yankees,
Rivals,
you
yes.
know, Lakers, Celtics.
Yes.
And it was because, you know, everybody else in the league that we played in was probably just a skosh better. So in the battle of the shitty teams, you don't want to be the shittiest, and you stand in the way of me, you know, evading that title. But man, so many.
But then you ended up being you, and
Right.
like you're one of my favorite people
Right.
in the whole world.
Weird because I don't look back on the Hitmen as a group that I am not fond of.
Right.
But it was my first team.
Sure.
So that was all I had. And then moving on, it's like, oh, yeah, there's a couple odd ducks on that team. I mean, the guy captaining it, Vic Shank, love him, but
he's so fucking weird.
dude, he's got I haven't seen him in forever, but he has, and I've seldom meet this kind of person. And whenever I do, I'm like, I need to get pen and paper and just start taking. But he has this thing he does when you're talking to him one-on-one, face-to-face. He'll start trying to mouth the words that are coming out of your mouth.
I've seen that before.
And you're like, I just want to be like, you're never going to guess the words. Like, I don't even know them until they're out there.
This is not a script.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I learned all I need to know about Shank. I saw him at a Blades game, oddly enough, and he had a hockey jersey on.
Tucked in.
He had it tucked into his jeans, and he had the sleeves rolled up to his elbows. I'm like, just wear a fucking t-shirt.
That is literally like the definition of a kind of person.
Yes.
Like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know exactly who I'm in.
Like if you would have seen him at that game after knowing him for 6 years, you would have been like,
makes total sense now.
John Candy, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I knew you.
I knew you.
Have better luck playing pickup sticks with our butt cheeks.
Those aren't pillows.
Oh my God, I love that fucking movie.
Oh, one of the best.
I
One of
mean,
the best buddy movies.
And like, I have always been a softie. This is not no, we're not opening any kind of Pandora's box, but I mean, I like fucking cried at commercials when I was a kid. You know, I've always just like.
It happened to me, but when I got older.
Got older?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it got to a point where going to the movies with my mom and my sister, I could always feel my sister looking at me, trying to see if I'm crying.
When you were going to cry.
And then, I would shield it a little bit, and then she'd be like, "Are you crying?" I'm like, "Will you shut the fuck up?" Like, God damn, you know what a crying human looks like? Also, you've known me your whole life. I bet you could.
You know this happens.
I bet you can piece the two together. But when when Steve Martin's character realizes,
Sitting on the train.
yeah, and then oh my God, like goosebumps right now. And then they bring him home to his house for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And and the wife, Steve Martin's wife's character, like just wholeheartedly embraces
absolutely.
him, and he's like, I feel like I've known you, my whole life.
Right. The emotion of that whole sequence is amazing.
Yeah.
What snaps me out of it is that sugary song that they're playing over the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah.
It just I'm like, really? I would be crying,
Yeah.
but you're playing that stupid fucking song. I will say that's John Candy and Steve Martin in that buddy movie rivals Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. Have you ever seen the movie Silver Streak?
No.
It takes place on a train. You need to watch it.
Okay.
It's amazing. Wilder plays this author, and he's going somewhere to do a talk somewhere, and he gets mixed up in this murder thing, gets tossed from the train while it's moving, and happens upon Richard Pryor, who is a car thief.
Wow.
And they team up. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Okay.
I highly recommend
Okay.
it. And then right after that, off the success of that, they did Stir Crazy.
Okay.
And then Hear No Evil, See No Evil.
Yeah, I think I've seen that.
Yeah.
Is Louis Anderson is he part of the polka band in the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
I think he is.
I mean, and
not
they're
a
like
speaking part, but
in the back of a fucking
that cargo van. We had the big hit, polka, polka. But him and Eugene Levy used to do that polka bit where they were brothers.
Yes.
Cabbage rolls and coffee.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, so many little nuances about that movie, like when Steve Martin gets his hotel room and John Candy's like, how about $2 and a nice Casio? And the hotel clerk's, I think I'm going to have to say goodnight, sir. And it's just, you're just like,
and he's sitting out in that roofless car.
You're going the wrong way.
How the hell does he know? How the hell does he know where we're going? Yeah.
I fucking love that song.
Yes.
The mess around.
The mess around.
He's got his coat caught up.
Up there playing the piano on the fucking dashboard.
Oh my God. And then when they finally realize it and they go right between the two semis and for a quick second they turn into skeletons.
Yeah. He's like, ah!
Oh, how the hell does he know where we're going? Oh my God. So what made you interested in hockey cards? Having gone to that, did you go to that game first?
Having gone to that game, yeah, that was my first experience with hockey, and just loved it. And it was on NBC back in the 70s.
Okay. Yeah.
So it would just be on. There was no buying the rights to, it was just on.
All right, we had to pause right there because this is just how it goes. But right. I mean, Zoltan, Gothard, or Gotthard. I mean, Hassenjager.
Easily my favorite. That huge doughy vagina.
I think it actually says that on his birth certificate. I remember, it was so. I know it didn't happen like this, but I remember I got so used to, for a short period, seeing his minivan pull up and like the family would get out.
Right.
And it was like, 1 week, and then the next week he's by himself, and I'm like, "Where's the crew?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're not a family anymore." And I was like, "Okay."
Jesus.
And that's about as deep a look on the inside as
he would give.
Yeah. And I mean, keep it there.
Yeah, truly.
But okay, that's just how you handle and process information. And then there was another time where I was at QT right before a game, and I was getting taquitos, and he saw me. He opened the door and saw me, and he goes, "You're going roller grill before a hockey game?" And like all the people shopping and part of the transaction turned and looked, and I was like, "Yeah,
you need to shut the fuck up."
Precisely. Oh my.
Who says that?
What do you care? Are you going to be in charge of me vomiting or shitting my pants later?
Yeah.
Okay, then zip it. But there was a really cool dude who was captain of the team when we were the Canadians for a few seasons.
I do remember that. Yeah.
I've still got all three, I think. And they were just different.
I hated the goalie on that team because every time you guys would score, he would skate out at center ice and start high-fiving everybody and go to the bench and do that. You don't remember that?
Oh, there was a bump. We went through goalies
every time I got scored on when we were playing you guys, I wanted to skate out there and punch him in the fucking throat.
God. But there was a guy, I want to say his name was no, I don't remember what his name was, but he was the captain.
Was that Leighton?
No. And he was only the captain for one season, and then he moved to Texas.
Oh, okay.
And then Vic took over, and Jason Lettinen came, and he like that. I like that dude. Anytime,
he's a good dude.
Anytime we had somebody for a minute that was a really good skater and a good player, they were always around for a very small amount of time,
Yeah.
and then gone. And you,
Well, see, we had our murderer's row of really good skaters that were there, but for the blink of an eye.
right. So Jake Watson came from that. We had this one guy who, Jim. We had Big Jim, who was like a career hotel chef.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, you know that those skates don't move themselves, right? You gotta put a little something in there. I mean, I would seriously just sit there and watch him, and he always wanted to fucking play forward. I'm like,
His breezers, he could never hold them up, so it was just like it was skate, ankle, and breezer, like right
Yes,
there.
yes.
He looked like the weirdest
yeah,
midget
like
hockey
he
player.
was 85% torso and just had like ankles with skates.
Just little.
There was a kid that came out just for a short time, and he looked a little bit like Jake, and he had like 4 colors of stick tape, and did the whole thing up. I mean, in all, like, some purple and some green and some. I mean, it was like, this isn't Candy Cane Lane, bro.
Yeah.
I don't. What are you? You're gonna get
Way too
murdered.
much free time on your hands.
And he was. I didn't realize it until I watched him take his first shift. I was like, oh, that's why they call it a tripod, because he's literally out there trying to play a game, depending on his stick to keep him vertical. And I was like,
Yeah.
public skate session, stick and puck. Nope, just
Maybe,
right.
just a little practice.
Okay.
No.
First line. Okay, that's
When Crow and I played out at King Louis on Metcalf, we had a weekend tournament. We played full check with a team from Wichita and a team from Iowa, Cahokia. But we had there was this guy that skated with us at King Louis, who was nicknamed Gretzky, because every time this guy took a shot, he screwed himself into the ice. So we thought we were being nice, and we didn't tell him about the tournament. And then we're skating warm-ups the first 6 a.m. Because it's an all-weekend tournament.
okay.
There's beer kegs there and everything. I turn around, Crow standing there, and we look, and Gretzky's standing there on the end glass, just with this forlorn look.
Dejection.
He found out, and he was like, "You guys didn't invite me." I hope that guy didn't hang himself in the shower or anything.
Wow.
But no shit. Every time he took a shot, screwed himself right into the ice.
I mean, that's.
Poor Gretzky.
I'm trying to remember who. Oh, Olsen.
Oh God.
That guy. I love that guy. But
One of the nicest people you'll ever meet. But holy shit.
I mean, whenever somebody says, "Oh, that guy's a teddy bear," I'm like, "There's only one," because all I did for like 7 years was listen to him talk about how he's gonna light so and so up, and they better be careful. And I'm like, I've seen a dandelion have their way with you. Like, what the fuck, dude? You're so huge.
Yes.
And you don't even like when he would shove or instigate any kind of contact. It was like the physical version of Crow joking and cackling on the ice. It's like, hey man, that's the other team. Like, how about being a little mean to them? And Olsen's over there like, hey big boy in the crease. I'm like, no, actually level him.
Yeah.
Like get it.
Knock him over, please.
He's scored the first 4 goals. Did you not see? Like, kill that man. Goaltenders, I really only remember Chuck. And he just stands out because he was just a big fucking sourpuss. And like, if the game got out of hand, he would stand to the side, and it's like, thanks, man. We were trying to lose really badly. Appreciate the support.
I can't throw any stones.
Yeah.
I've had my famous meltdown.
But at least you just leave. He's out there like a Price is Right showcase showdown girl, showing you an RV,
Right.
and it's the gaping net he's supposed to be protecting.
Yeah. Our bench is like, where's Proffitt? He's in the fucking locker room.
Yeah. Also, don't talk to him until next week because he's going to be mad for that long. So that game, getting cards, how do you land on goaltending?
Jim Craig. 1980 Miracle on Ice
Yeah.
was when that absolutely cemented my love of hockey.
That was, I came on because it was on TV.
Oh yeah,
Just I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
That looks fucking
yeah,
awesome.
Lake Placid. Plus,
Goosebumps, man.
oh, absolutely, every time. Because it was also the political climate. We were at war with the the Russians were in Afghanistan, and I just remember screaming, when Eruzione scored that goal. Just, do you believe in miracles? Yes.
That
and
and something was going on with Jim Craig's mom.
Yes.
Was she sick? And,
she was sick.
Or like dying? Or
I think she had died during this whole thing. Yeah. So him and his
no
dad,
pressure.
Yeah, him and his dad.
Yeah. Dude, there's that. There's a planes, trains, and automobile moment from the movie Miracle. Or you're just like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I fucking. But
because there's that famous picture of Jim Craig with the American flag on his shoulder, and he's hugging his dad. Yeah.
Fuck.
On the ice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But Jim Craig was just making just lightning saves.
With
he just had the little Jacques Plante mask.
yeah,
on.
yeah.
So I went, got a couple of small couch cushions, and strapped them to my legs, and those little rubber speedballs that would throw that against the front door in the entryway, and I would make saves, and that's
fucking awesome.
how I taught myself how to play goal.
I mean, I guess it's a good thing that I have forgotten this before, but somebody that does like a Tuesday, Thursday skate at Line Creek, a group that somebody, a little bit older than us, I think, kind of recently died. Like
I remember hearing,
just, of course, even if it's, a person that you haven't liked over the year, when that happens, you're like, fuck, man.
Bob Clem.
Yes. But when this dude recently died, I just started like seeing the occasional picture of people's front porches with a hockey stick.
Yeah.
And like every time I see it, like almost fucking weeping. Like reason number 367A why this is the greatest game on the planet. Because just
100%.
set your stick there and it tells you a fucking story
everything
that
you need to know.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I also, that was right around the time where we would like obviously ultimate destination was Worlds of Fun. But second place, Showbiz.
Oh.
And that was where I believe I for the first time saw the USA versus Russia.
Yeah. They had one of those in King Louis forever.
Okay. With the boo button.
Boo button.
I mean,
boo button and everything. Yeah.
And it was like there was something like, even for the the way that there were like little circles for faces in the crowd. Like everything was just like perfect.
Yeah.
And you could, you felt like you were in a game, and like I don't even know how, but I would look at those Russians like they had murdered my mother. These little guys on a fucking thing that we're controlling, and it's like they represented the evil in the world.
Yeah.
And if you got a buddy, because most people would skee ball or do whack-a-mole or what Papa Shot, many things you could go do, but I always wanted to play that.
Yep.
And if I found a buddy, it's sort of like when you learn that you have to share. It's like you get told to share, and you're defiant, and then you try it on, and you're like, oh, it's not so bad.
It's not so
bad. But when I would find a buddy, immediately USA side, and if they would ever pitch a fit every once in a while,
oh no,
all right, fine, I'm gonna need like a bleach bath after this, make me be the fucking Russians.
That happened to me one time. I had a 100-game streak where I was nothing but the USA, and then that whoever I was playing with got to the game first.
Probably Hassenjager.
Had to be.
Fuck. I'm definitely winning this one, man. But I mean, there was, I just, so not 2002, 2003, all of a sudden there was this big splash by Bud Light, and feel free to grab,
Okay.
and there was bubble hockey tournaments, and those tables,
Yes.
they were at like the Brooksider, and there it was like a bracket.
Yeah.
And my buddy who I lived with at the time, we got in and we advanced like 2 or 3 times.
Oh, no shit.
And it was like, we Brooksider, and then we were somewhere else, and then we were at a casino like up north, and you could see like there was a bracket. You could see the championship game is like played at center ice in the Blues Stadium.
Oh,
yeah,
holy shit.
and like there's so much merch.
Right.
Like T-shirts and mugs and whatever. Like there was fucking life-size cardboard cutouts of Gretzky. I had like 3 of them at one point, all in my room, which was, you bring a girl home and she like Wayne Gretzky, huh? Which is like way better than just one,
Right?
Because one scares you every single time. Jesus!
Oh, fuck!
I forgot for the 47th time that I asked if I could have that and put it in my car and drove it here and put it there. Every time I walk in this room, it scares me. But the point is, I felt like those games in that tournament and the games, because every once in a while I'll be like, I should get one, and I'm like pretty serious, and the checks, whatever. What's the manufacturer name? But they when we played on those tables in that tournament for a couple or 3 years in a row, they felt just a little janky, like not poorly made, like they were well crafted.
Right.
But do you remember the feel of twisting that
Oh, yeah.
goaltender?
Yeah.
And fucking shake the whole thing, and I mean, people could take like, like float a wrister through the air, and it could kind of just and work its way in that tiny little spot, and you'd see it drop down the whole.
Yeah. That
world.
game, it actually required a little bit of strategy.
Yeah.
Because there were things you could do. I bought a tabletop version of that.
Yeah.
And I'm such a nerd. I would, before like a weekend tournament thing, at the apartment, I would take all the players off and car wax the ice surface.
Wow, that's awesome, actually. But no, that was, it's like there was a time when foosball.
Oh,
you just spin, fucking, it's all luck, and then you develop like a half of one skill. And
Right.
you're like, I can
mine
bank
was
it.
shifting between players.
I still am working on that, But and then you meet somebody that's like really good, and they just fucking pass to their different rows of guys, and then just blow it past you.
Yeah.
Moving the puck up the ice in that game was like it was like a kid's menu when you follow the maze, and then you're stuck. You gotta like backtrack and pass back over to this guy, because depending on how they had their people set up, they could do like a left wing lock and keep you pinned to the wall, and you're like,
For a while, I had something that almost scored me a goal every game, or mini goals a game. I would take the left defenseman and do a cross ice pass down to the forward in the corner, and then before the guy could move, I would kick it out to the center in front, and then it was like money every fucking time.
The kids and I not the first time I've done this. I'll probably continue to make this mistake, but when all the stars align, we do our best to have movie night on Friday.
Right.
And we take turns who's picking. The last one we did, I did Mystery Alaska.
Oh.
And I didn't realize Skank Martin. Fat Wall.
You forgot about that?
No, I remembered that his character existed, but I forgot he banged the dude's wife. I knew he took the shovel to the head, but and then the Stevie, the guy that gets,
the
and
kid.
then he's in the snowplow, and she thinks that to keep him, and he fucking nuts while she's trying to put the condom on. I'm like, please don't tell your mother about this,
Right.
What was happening? Don't worry. The game, that game, we're out of the snowplow now. But anyway, there's so many little nuances about that movie that I've always loved, and Mike Myers' character is one of them. And so
You know where a guy can get a rub and a tug around here?
that clip will pull up 57 times if you search on YouTube. You know it won't. Is I don't care what you say, if you don't have a big bag of knuckles in front, you don't know Dickie Doo or
Yeah.
what.
You ain't got Dickie Doo.
Yeah, you look for it. It's fucking. There's one source that has it, and it's not. It's shitty.
That's even a better line than the rub and a tug line.
Way better. Way better. I just last night at father-daughter dance, we're eating dinner, and I said, somebody said something that they were sharing a story where their kid had said something, and they realized that they picked it up from them, and so they were like, fuck, I got to do better. And so I tell them about I have a toy pony. He takes big shits. All right, no more locker room for you. Oh man, I as much as I love that movie, I felt like they could have. I mean, I would happily have seen a sequel or two.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd obviously have to get creative, but it was just a really good concept. And
They had a better concept in Miracle. They didn't take actors like they did in Slapshot and teach them how to skate. They got there were a few actors, but they got hockey players and taught them how to act.
nice.
Which made their on-ice sequences almost
If
flawless.
if you don't believe the game, then the whole thing's kind of like, what are we doing?
Correct.
But the difficulties between Russell Crowe's character and his wife,
Yeah.
and it's not great to begin with, but then Hank Azaria's character as her ex complicates it more.
Right.
And then he has the cute little crossword whatever it is, where he crosses out the words and leaves the room as she's reading them. I'm like, oh, you guys, you're gonna be good.
That was a cute aspect.
So, man, I don't think I've watched Miracle all the way through, but twice, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not avoiding it, but I think that I've not revisited because I don't know if any moment of the movie that isn't him going, Mike Aruzian. I mean, I can barely get the words out.
Yeah.
And Winthrop, Massachusetts, or where is he from?
It is Massachusetts.
Yeah, and after, just because, I mean, he might as well have a Emperor Palpatine mask on when he's going again.
Yeah.
Again. And homeboy from Truman Shows, Jim Carrey's character's best friend that always comes over with the beer as the assistant coach, and he's just like,
yeah,
you got to stop, again.
If you've ever seen any interviews with Herb Brooks, Kurt Russell
He
absolutely nails Herb Brooks.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I just really love that.
I went and saw it in the theater with a buddy that I worked with at Oklahoma Joe's
Okay.
liquor store. We went and saw it one night, and he was much younger than I am. So towards the end of the movie, he's sitting there going, yeah, and I am bawling. I mean, just tears streaming down my face because I can remember.
And you can kind of relate to the trajectory of a kid who is now on the Olympic stage. And by the way, they are kids who have parents and families and school and job, real fucking shit.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom, here you are.
Yeah. In the biggest game ever.
Yeah, being coached by one of the hardest,
Yeah.
So good.
This is a great movie.
I'm glad you mentioned work, because you said you told all of your work buddies you were going to be on a podcast.
Yes.
Where is work?
I work at Rush Truck Center.
Okay.
It's a dealership for big rig trucks.
Okay.
It's out by Worlds of Fun.
Okay.
It's right next door.
Like selling?
Yeah, selling.
Okay.
We have a 26 bay shop.
Damn.
And that's what I do. I sell parts to our shop basically. So I get to deal. Mechanics are my people.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the most like prison I think I will ever run across, because when they're not like finger banging each other, they're talking about raping each other's wives. I could not deal with normal customers. I have to be in a spot.
You are cut from that cloth.
I can tell. Yeah, I can tell my customer to go fuck himself.
So who are the work buddies?
Tyler, who is a mechanic, and Kevin, who is a service advisor. We sit right next door to each other.
Shout outs to Tyler and Kevin.
What up, Tyler and Kevin, boy?
And how long have you had this gig?
I went there when it was Summit, and then they got bought out. But I've been there since 18.
Okay. Were you doing like HVAC shit before that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that we've known each other for the better part of 25.
Yeah. And there's some. Go back to that Hitman or Canadians versus Nordiques.
Yeah, I think it was the Nordiques at the time.
And then Dog River Dogs. So many pieces of like my life as a Dog River Dog or a White Russian or whatever. Like, it's really weird to me to think about the time before.
Right.
Like, any fucking, like, I wore this shirt to my chiropractor, and he's like, dude, nice shirt. And I was like, and he's like, Big Lebowski. I'm like, no shit. Do you know I've been sitting in a room partially naked with grown men for 20 years, all of us just taking turns dropping one-liners?
Yeah.
Do you know how many times I've heard Really Tied the Room Together? I mean, I know it's a Big Lebowski shirt. Like, I love he's a great dude, but whether it's you being grumpy or Crow cackling or John Crossley fucking paying for a season of dues and skating one game and just
right.
I Dream of Genie and out of there, or the King Louis stories, or your last, there was like, so if you look at the White Russians roster now, like what's left over from Nordique / Dog River days is very small.
Right.
But like the whole room was really disappointed that Steven didn't get in a fight for his last game. And it's like,
you're supposed to.
This is like so many layers of folklore.
Yeah.
That people have and I mean, anyway.
My favorite example of all time will have to be when Steven, was that his name? The little skinny dude that beat the shit out of
Dave K.
Dave K. Yeah.
I don't know if I knew Steven.
I thought you were there.
I don't think I was.
He was leaving. He was moving back to wherever. We said, it's time. You're doing it tonight. And Dave K had him on the boards and was face washing him.
What a surprise. With those nasty old fucking leather mitts of his.
Spittoon. he looked like a skating spittoon. But this guy, clearly Dave had the size advantage on him. He dropped him and jumped on him like a wire-haired terrier and hit him like 8 times before he hit the ice.
Yeah.
And then skated off like,
see ya.
See you guys.
Yeah. Oh my God. So good. I mean, twice now traveling, fucking running into Dave K. Was getting on a plane and thought I saw him, and then he went to put his shit. I was like, motherfucker. And of course he took the aisle seat, and he's got some girl. He's always got a girl.
Right.
How, I don't know, but because they don't know yet. That's why it's always a different one the next time.
Yeah, it's got to be.
But I was like, motherfucker. And so he's telling, he's whatever chapter he's on of the pitch about how awesome he is. He's telling her, and he, hey dude, and like I don't know if I wrote a fucking blog post about what a fucking shitbag he was, but also like interwove. I have had beers with him. He's kind of funny, and we've blah blah blah. But he did not like that. But he must have like quadruple took because he was just like what. And then let's see, was it last summer? Yeah, it was last summer. I flew out to Denver to see 3 nights of shows with Jake.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jake Watson, like, just an amazing creature.
Yes, he is.
And just like sometimes he says things, I'm like, that was the Jake Watsonest fucking shit I've ever heard. We're hanging out, and he's like, thinking Bass Pro Shop. How about you? I'm like, what about it? He's like, I mean, we don't have any of those down in South Carolina, so we got a little window of time. I'm like, okay, I'll go to the Bass Pro Shop with you. And
sure,
like he knew, like he had shirts and boots and something else in mind, and like went and saw some shit and was like, and ended up just getting a couple random little things. And I'm like, what did we just do? Like, I mean, I know I agreed to go shopping on a shopping errand with another man, but specifically Bass Pro Shop. And then when we got there, you're like, nah. So he shopped for like 20-30 minutes, and so I'm trying to like talk myself. Do I need a flannel?
Just trying to blend in.
Just what and I look over and Dave K with a fucking. I'm like, Jake, and he's like, what are you pointing at? I'm like, he's like, is that Dave? I'm like, yeah, dude. Somehow when I travel, so does he. He goes to the same spot. We got so bizarre.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that guy.
He should have been on Jersey Shore.
Who? Dave K? Oh, yeah.
100%.
I tell you what, though, Jake is like one of my all-time favorite human beings. And this particular trip, last Labor Day, I mean, we're gonna go to the boardwalk. No, Atlantic City. We're gonna go to Atlantic City in August. I've never been. I don't think he's ever been. Should be fascinating.
It should be fun.
But he will usually set up, all the stuff and be like, "This is what you owe me," and I'm like, "Cool."
That's awesome.
Yeah. So he books us a room, and he's got a buddy that owns a brewery. So we get to town, our flights arrive, and he gets the rental car, and he's like, we're gonna go to the brewery first. So we go to the brewery, have a beer, and then he set up for us to play 18 holes of golf. And the room, the hotel was called Home 2. I had like the number 2.
Okay.
I'd never heard of them, but then it's one of those things now where I see them, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, like that wasn't just a weird out of body experience.
Right.
But they're very small and they're economical, and it looks like a hotel room, but it also kind of looks like your family room.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you're just there to sleep anyway.
Right. So we get there, and there's one bed. I think he thought. He had a conversation. He's like, I want 2 beds. And then we get there and there's a bed and a pull-out couch, and he goes down and he's like, I was supposed to, and they're like, oh man, sorry. That's all we got. And Jake's like, that's all right. I'll sleep on this thing. I was like, dude, I don't mind. I mean, you arranged. He's like, no, take the bed. Seriously. I was still changing my dressing.
Oh, okay.
Like,
okay.
Everywhere I went, people were like, what? I'm like, it's not that exciting, but I'll tell anyway. So we saw we played a round of golf, we went out drinking, we saw 3 shows, we had we did like a late night, because when we used to go to this venue for the first 8 years, we'd camp. And so we'd roll out of the venue and like just hit a food truck and go back to the campsite and eat and pass out. That's when he still lived here, and we would drive out. But now that we fly, and we had a drive from the venue.
Are the shows? I mean, I understand being a fan of Fish for an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
Are the shows that different?
Completely.
Each? Okay.
Completely.
That was always a question that
Yeah.
I had.
I mean, I saw 2 nights and he saw a different 2 nights when they did the Baker's Dozen, which was 13 straight shows at Madison Square Garden, 267 songs, no repeats. Each night had a donut theme.
Oh, I do remember you telling me about that.
Like,
yeah.
I saw jam filled, and that's the term that got put on it. Like, the band isn't saying, but
Right.
the donut was called jam filled. Is it jam filled donut? It's this famous Philadelphia donut. I don't know.
Okay.
But I mean, they came out and played this song called Lawn Boy, which is like, maybe 3 minutes and change on the studio album that it's on, and it's just super, super chill and low key, and the piano player he sings, and when they play it live, he'll walk around and like, hey, he's ham it up with the crowd, and it's just it's a really like nighttime-y kind of relaxy, just lounge kind of. So they come out and like he's got a guitar. What is one of those things called?
Oh, a sitar?
Yeah, a sitar, I think.
The Indian
Yeah.
sitar.
But like a dope, fancy, nice one.
Right.
And they, turned that little number into like this 27-minute. And the joke of the week kept saying, is this still Lawn Boy? And so, and then
crazy.
I mean, I've had so many great memories at their shows, but I think it's halfway through set 1. Like things are going really well. Like there's a very clear energy build.
Sure.
As the set list is progressing, and all of a sudden, just dun, 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 like the opening fucking notes to 1999 by Prince. And, dun, 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 dun. And it's like, are they gonna? And then they've covered it before, but
I bet it's really good too,
dude. And so when they finally, because they're fucking around for a second, and then they finally get into the dun, 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 the fucking place. I literally thought the roof was gonna blow. I mean, every fucking person, and there's oh god, it was so fucking amazing.
Well, that was the answer that I wanted.
Yeah,
I knew there had to be a reason why you catch 3 shows, and if they're that different, I get it.
So, and then the other show from the Baker's Dozen I saw ended up being Powdered. So they did Neil Young's Powderfinger, which is one of my all-time favorite Neil Young songs. I think it's called Powderfinger. But they covered some song with Snow in it by Fleet Foxes. I mean, just really kind of touching on all of the theme in it. And anyway, so last year was funny because for years it's always like, do we get in on the tickets by mail lottery or did we get rejected? And if we get rejected, then you're doing public on sale, Ticketmaster, online, phone, the app, whatever. And then if you get screwed there, then you're stuck with the secondary market, or worst case scenario, you're trying to make a ticket happen once you get there. Well, we've always been like everything we can to get tickets, but also to get floor tickets. We want to be in the mix, be part of it. And this past year, I got seats, and the seating is GA. So, but I was thrilled. I was like, I'm too tired to do 3 nights of 2 sets on my feet on the floor. And so what ended up happening, he had a floor seat and I had a seat.
Y'all just made a switch.
No. Well, and usually there's some kind of shenanigans because you come in and then they give you a bracelet and you got to show the bracelet to get on the floor. So there's, hamming up with somebody and hand the ticket or take the bracelet off. And, and then if you're doing that, then if somebody's got to come up for the bathroom or whatever, I mean, then you got to do it all over again.
Right.
But I was like, I'm happy that I got a seat, and that's where I'm gonna be for the show. If you want to go on, that's totally fine.
That's how old I am. Is this a seated event?
So not only was what I wound up doing was getting an aisle last row seat, so that literally the bathroom is right there and the bar is right there, and I was like,
Perfect.
Never again
Perfect.
will I not do exactly that, because I have to pee. I have to pee here in a second, but anyway, the fuck, one of the big four, U.S. Open.
Oh yeah,
the U.S. Open was on, so we went out to dinner. We hit Twin Peaks one night, a Denny's one night, and maybe Sonic. And they were all, 1:30 a.m. arrivals for us, and just so you got like the people watching,
absolute cream of the crop.
Yeah, the staff, the customer, every person. You're like, this could go any different kind of direction. I don't even know.
Oh yeah. Waitress with fresh stitches in her head.
Yeah.
And people that might have been in prison as early as that morning.
That happened because she was fucking the fry cook, and then she started fucking a host, and he threw a salt shaker at her. So there was a Chipotle across the room, and we literally spent, aside from the day that we played golf and the day that we like traveled out to head back, we literally laid on bed and pull out and napped and watched tennis for 3 straight days, and it was like the most pleasant company I could have fucking asked for. Like if I would have had a girl with me, none of that would have looked like that. But we were just, there was so much farting and shit taken and sleep snoring and just food trash.
Everywhere,
and it was perfect. It was so like I couldn't ask for a better companion to hole up somewhere.
Jake is a fantastic human being.
Yeah, and he's always, just kind of like casually check in on your needs. Like, this is kind of what I'm thinking, but I don't have to do that if you got, and we've had plenty of situations over the years when we would camp where, he like leaves and would go like up to Estes Park or go up to Summit County and see a friend and spend the, go do our separate things.
Cool.
And then reconvene. And, let me do that. I'm going to pee and I'm going to get something to drink. And then we need to come back to that game. No, you told we got from the game to the couch cushions and the ball. That's where we need to come back.
Okay, cool.
I want to say Super Checks is the company.
Super Checks, that is correct.
And
Super Checks is it.
Every time I have one of those where I'm like, I think I'm going to do it, 2 things stop me. One, that it's not USA Russia with the boo button and the fucking all the wonderful pieces.
The boo button is key.
But also $4,000 to not be like completely jacked.
Yeah.
Like if it was that old table, I would probably have 6 of them, and other layers of my life would be just cratering because of all these.
That is the only one that I would buy, would be the USA Russia.
Man. So when you strap those couch cushions on and did making saves, what age?
Oh, let's see. 1980. I was born in 71, so it would have been 10.
So how long from then until the first time you played?
I immediately, after that, like the next, I want to say within 6 months, I had joined the Polar Bear program at King Louis.
Okay.
And they started you basics. Some older guy, he was really cool. He had 15 kids out there, and he was teaching us to stop, and he did it. He goes, just imagine yourself as an Old West gunslinger, and as you stop and turn, you pull your guns, which was a great method because we were trying to stop and just making those slow turns to envisioning yourself doing what he did, and lo and behold, here I am stopping.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So started there
and
just went on. I I played a year, and then that was when about a year and a half, and that was when my parents started to get rocky. So neither one of them had the inclination to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to take me. So did not play again until I turned 23.
Okay.
Again, back at King Louis.
And you are only not playing now because you had hip surgery, right?
Yeah, I just haven't had.
Was it a hip replacement?
Hip replacement, yeah.
And just one, or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, left one.
How long has it been? 2 years?
It's been just a little over a year.
That's okay.
It's going on 2.
Okay. And how do things?
Oh, it's perfect. It's like night and day.
Wow.
I mean, I could barely walk.
Yeah.
The doctor said that the joint had been rubbing for so long it was starting to wear holes in the bone.
Wow.
Where the ball was.
Yeah.
So.
And
yeah.
so, but are you done? Are you?
I
mean, last time we got beers, I think you joked about skating out.
Yeah. And that's something I would still do to
Okay.
this day. I mean, I don't know how well received that would be. 'Cause
Right.
I would be. I'm sure it would be like a kind of a Tom Wilson from the Capitals.
I mean, like you would be the Eric Olson we wished Eric Olson was.
Yes.
I mean,
I would probably get into a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I could go back to goaltending.
Okay. Well, do you have shit? Do you have gear?
Well, I've been actually kind of just because Facebook knows everything that I look at apparently.
Yeah.
So it's been like just recently because I've been thinking about it. It's been rolling up, forward skates and gloves, and I'm just like, it's not showing me any goalie gear. So that may be a sign from the universe.
I swear, yesterday was, I want to say 18-year. God, could that be right? Anniversary of one of our good buddies from high school took his own life.
Oh.
So I met. It was a really, really messed up deal. A really good friend of mine, and I had both kind of reached the end point of our own paths of concern about this individual.
Okay.
And so we connected on the phone, and it was my cousin was getting married, so I had a golf outing, and then I was going home. I foolishly participated in a little bit of day drinking on the golf course, which just it doesn't work for me. Gummies don't work for me. My body's like, just like I'm drawing a blank on the actual reference, but just one like in Star Wars when Uncle Owen and Luke are buying droids from the Jawas, and they go to buy R5D4.
The one goes, ping!
This one's got a bad motivator. Like gummies and day drinking, like smoke, and it's bad. But so I'm going home, and I am going to nap because I gotta fix stuff. And so I call him, and I was like, dude, here's what has happened this week. And he's like, same. And we should go check on him. And I was like, I got to get home and nap. And then he's like, I'll do it. And that's how we decided who was going to go check on him. And he found him. And immediately you try, he hung himself. And is it too late? But it was way too late. And somebody, either him or somebody, called 911, and so everyone's pulling up at the same time as his parents, and his dad gets out of the car, and this is told to me, I wasn't there.
Right.
Oh my God, did he? He's checked out,
right,
and scream and questioning, and this,
I'm not naive enough to. I never got it when people go, I just don't understand why you would kill yourself. I'm like, you don't?
Yeah.
What are you living a fucking cotton hand?
Louis C.K. I mean, I've flipped through the brochure a few times.
Yes.
Like, the whole world is made up of people that just didn't kill themselves today. Like, oh, fuck. All right, I'll keep doing it. I mean,
I've just never understood that statement. I don't understand why people would kill them. Like, what? How do you not?
So I wound up, I got a phone call on the landline the next morning after the wedding from my buddy's wife. Mm-hmm. And I call her ID. I'm like, what? And she's like, hey, this is Carly. And I'm like, on the couch. Like, I didn't even brush my teeth or get into my pajamas.
Right.
Getting to bed was just cold. That couch. I was literally on that. This is my mom's second marriage. We moved to Atlanta in 1982, and we lived someplace while they were building a home.
Okay.
And they built this super nice home in this super nice subdivision, and just everything except for what we brought was new. Right. So like this couch was part of the living room. We fucking were not allowed in that room. And then we come in the front door, and it was always the weirdest thing. This living room's full of all this really fucking nice shit, and nobody ever went in. And then this dining room that had like a swinging door, and then another door that led to the kitchen,
right?
With a dining room set and an étagère full of china. Like, we fucking never had a meal in that room. I remember like one time they had a party, and it started like while we were not home,
right?
And we came home, and there was just a whole bunch of people hanging out in the living room, like having drinks and sitting on the furniture and chatting. I'm like, you guys are in so much trouble. Like,
what are you doing in there?
I mean, 40 adults, and of course they're a lot. That's why we keep this room nice, so that when we do, it's like so once every 3 years. Anyway, I was on that couch, and she was like, "Your friend didn't make it." And I was like, wait, what? What are you talking? And that's how I received the news.
Oh, okay.
You know, and only because I had the wedding was I not the one that went to check on him.
Right.
But so we went to the cemetery to pay our respects and say hello and leave flowers. And I don't even remember why I started talking about that. Good story. Playing hockey. I don't know. It'll come back to me.
Yeah.
So you didn't start playing until
I didn't
21.
Start playing when I was 23.
And being interested in maybe getting back out.
Oh yeah.
Which you totally should do. I mean, we need people. So, and you know almost everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
I'll start collecting gear.
Yeah. That's what it was. Because hit the cemetery, and then I hit the florist on the way home because I fucking suck at a lot of things, and I signed us up for the dad-daughter dance. The corsages were already sold out.
Right.
So I stopped to see, and my ex's aunt works there. It's the Fiddly Fig down on Holmes by Gomer's.
Okay.
And while I'm paying for they're selling this little music starter kit that has a harmonica and a whistle. I'm like, she's like, do you want this wrapped? I was like, I don't think so. It might. She's like, it's not a gift. And I was like, it might be a gift, but it might be a gift for me. I don't know. I'm just buying it. But she starts telling me this story about how, you know, we all have 100 of them a week where, you know, hey, did you take those socks out of the dryer? And then you get online and someone's trying to sell you socks.
Oh, yeah, it was the Facebook thing.
Yeah. Facebook knows that you're thinking about getting
socks or hockey gear. Or...
Yeah. And I told her when I paid and left with my corsage and my harmonica kit, I was like, I totally expect that somebody will try to sell me a harmonica, which is for a while. I mean, I think I comfortably lived under the warm blanket of couldn't be. It's just all coincidence. It's like the tide crashing on the beach, right. You know? And then after a while, you're like, dude, you know that revelation where you're like, I didn't even have my phone on, like open. I wasn't doing anything. It sat on the counter while I talked to him about Cheetos.
Yeah.
For 6 minutes, and now my shit is full of Cheetos.
Cheetos, yeah.
So it's listening.
It's legit creepy.
Like, yeah, man. So played at King Louis, and then I got major way to Pepsi.
Right. That's where I met Crow.
Yeah. Okay. But so like Schloss, like such a frustrating relationship. Like he's got.
He's such a great guy.
He is, but
he's one of the people I will absolutely miss not playing hockey with.
I mean 100%. He's got the perfect combination of skill set and like camaraderie. And bro and coach. He's smart. He sees things.
Yes.
He remembers like details about opponents. Just a lot about him that. But so much so that and especially for somebody that misses frequently, like he's one of those guys where you send the game day message out and there's always a 50% chance that I'm out, bring home the W. So you admire so much about a player like that when he does say, you're like, fuck you, man.
Come on.
We should be a little bit more important in your life than you're letting us be. But there was the text thread it's been around for a while, but it's only been kind of recently used. And every time I cringe when there's a text, and there's a lot of them because Scotty's on there. And it started, maybe it was probably a different thread, but I remember like 2, 3, 4 texts, and all of a sudden Scotty was like, please remove me from this. And I was like, that's not going to happen.
Hey, it's not happening. Especially now that you said that.
Yeah. So, and he doesn't, usually he'll email me if he's going to miss, but sometimes he'll text me. And it's always direct. It's never on there. I know what it was. I was at Dead and Company. I was in Boulder. I was at Folsom Field, where the Buffs play, to see Dead and Company. And I was wearing remember we got shirts, White Russian shirts.
Did, yeah.
They were shitty shirts.
They were horrible.
But I was wearing it. And I happened to be, there was a barricade like right down the middle. I don't know why, but I happened to be, and that becomes on the floor, everybody's standing.
Right.
That becomes a thing that you can call your own. Like I have this, and I'm gonna put my backpack here, and hang my jacket on the thing because this is where I'm gonna stand.
Right.
You can't come stand here.
Right.
And then of course your group has a little quadrant. Well, I wound up like in a corner of where 2 barricades met perpendicarily. It was perfect. Because anybody that wants to get into that space has to work
around.
Yeah. And then I've got some to lean on. Well, their camera crew, I mean, they film every show, but they're closing set 1, and it's, there's still a decent amount of daylight left, but it's kind of getting dusky, and everybody's going nuts because it's the final song of the set, and the cameraman just comes right down, and I'm standing there, and I got my White Russian shirt. I'm like, that's why I'm wearing this shitty shirt. So if given the opportunity, I'm representing because I love this team. And I send a picture of like me in that corner. I might have even, because it was like immediately on YouTube because it's like their official thing. And so I think I went to the YouTube and went to the end and like paused and then screenshot and texted. And Scotty's like, please remove. I'm like, dude, that's me wearing our team shirt at Folsom. He's like, oh, sorry, I didn't have your number saved. I'm like, why does that matter? You don't recognize me or the shirt that you also own? I mean, anyway. But now it's a lot. There's a lot every time. I'm like, I hope Scott knows how to put threads in Do Not Disturb so that if he wants to see him, he can, but his phone's not.
Right.
So something was going around. I don't even remember. I have no idea what it was. And Dave hadn't said, and he's been,
radio silent for a while.
Well, he,
it all, It seemed to me it got kind of weird after that incident.
For sure. But it got weird, and I think rather seamlessly healed and recovered and moved on from all that, which is, I was always like, everybody's good.
Yeah, that seems
But
impossible.
So he had this job, and he's like running this like high end dental facility, like, and celebrities.
His
like,
boss is fucking crazy.
Yeah, and Billy Butler would like go there for his, that kind of thing. And there's two owners, and they were always like putting him in the middle, and it was sketch. And so he decides to leave and start his own practice that is just like the one he was doing. And he winds up getting them, his former employers, as clients. And so he's doing that, and then of course trying to build his other client pool. And then they like decide, him and his wife, that they're gonna like launch a couple of apps, which they did. One of them's called the wedding party, I think, and it creates some sense of interaction amongst wedding guests.
Okay.
I forget what the other one is, or if it's on hold, but and then they just, we're moving to Florida. And I'm like, and he's like, dude, just, shit's crazy, man. Shit is, it's why the world is made up of people that didn't kill themselves today, because life is fucking crazy. And he was like, man, we just go down there and island time, man, island time. And I'm like, yeah,
fair
it's
enough.
very, very sexy and appealing to think of, being on the beach, your toes in the sand, the sound of he loves to go deep sea fishing.
Oh, okay.
Distances that terrify me. And
I couldn't do it.
Like, and that starts with like, waist level out, I don't.
Me too.
I just,
The husband of the owner of Tipsy's, where I worked, every year would go on a deep sea fishing trip out off the coast of San Diego. But this boat would chug for like 2 days. You cannot see land anymore, and I'm not ever gonna do that.
This guy that I used to work with, he's tentatively gonna do one. Is that dog barking? Okay, he's gonna do an episode here in a couple weeks. He's actually a Super Bowl champion.
What?
It's a funny story, but he also loves to do that, and like he not too terribly long ago posted a video on Instagram, and you can just see like the front corner or whatever of the boat, and his feet are hanging off just right above. He can actually like kind of dip his toes in the water, and this vessel is fucking moving. And the caption is like, nothing like being 80 miles out. And I'm like, what? Like,
no.
Do you need help? Should I call the Coast Guard? That is about 79.5 miles farther out than anybody should be. Because you don't see anything in any direction, and kill me. Like, no way.
There's no way I'm being in the Navy.
Yeah. We do have to go on the water?
Yeah. That's me out. I'll be the guy that unties the boat and throws a rope over to you. Bye.
So I was like, shit's just going too fast. I was like, yeah, that's a very, very appealing idea, but I just, I'm not cut from that cloth where I can just. At one time I was, where I could just fold up shop, and I'm no longer residing here. I'm going to do, but anyway, so they bought a house, and they needed to do pretty much everything to it. And I think they wound up doing a lot of it themselves. And then they sold the house here, and the house there wasn't ready. So they moved in with her folks, which they've already done once.
Right.
And it was like,
no, he was about ready to kill one of them.
It was rough when he lived next door, and they had their first kid, and the mom would come for 2 days. He would,
You could just tell by the end.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. I was like, I mean, I'm assuming financial reasons. I don't know. But either way, so now they're living with her folks again. And I was like, without fail, I want 2 hangs for a cold one before you go, because it's like summer, and our kids are going to do the full school year here and the summer, and then we'll move and they'll start in the fall. So we've got like a year and change to have cold ones 2 times. Right. And then when I got this off the ground, he was like, he was one of these dudes that I was like, hey, I need you. He's like, here. And he gave me like 5 records with 3 alternates, and like one of them had an alternate for the alternate. I was like, was that just on your nightstand? You've just been waiting for somebody to ask the question? It was so fucking weird. And a wide range of, like, it blew me away. But so all of a sudden, whatever's going on in the text thread, and he's like, hasn't said anything, because they're flying down there all the time, right, and taking the kids and working on the house and whatever with both of their jobs, and then these apps, and then the home that they've got to come to is with her folks. And
wow.
So he's not saying much, right, but whatever's happening on the thread is wildly entertaining. It's fucking just gold, Jerry. And he just one-liner, God, I'm going to fucking miss this team. And I was like, oh, fuck. Heartstrings.
Yeah, Jesus.
So, we did have parking lot beers. We didn't get together for either of the cold ones, and I couldn't get him in here fast enough before he was gone. Right. So maybe when he's back one time, but
I want to be a part of that if he's going to be in
for here. Sure. So we did have parking lot cold ones, and there was some things said then, but there was also one other time where he, like, without question, you knew that he meant it from the bottom. He's like, this is the fucking greatest group of guys I've ever played with. And
100%.
Right? And it's remarkable, because it's not been a revolving door per se,
no,
but there's
really.
Definitely been folks that have come and gone. And I mean, who is that couple? Do you remember them? And she was like slightly better than him, but and which wasn't
Amy and
yes.
I can't remember his name,
but I can picture both of them.
Yeah.
And then the two dudes. AO
and his buddy.
Yeah. That like didn't they
weren't getting their per minute ice time worth of their.
Both missed a game once because they were going to Colorado the next morning, driving,
and they had to jerk each other off the night before or something.
Like,
I don't know.
You could sleep for a little bit. No, you didn't. Okay, all right, whatever, man.
Hey, if we're not holding hands, I mean, it's not a road trip.
The kid, you remember the kid when we landed our high school?
Yes.
And he was like, oh my God. And it's like, what? I thought you. No, I didn't play in high school. I haven't played since high school. Okay, but when you played in high school, was it like
did you
a team?
Actually skate?
Or did you just like watch somebody practice one time through a dusty window? I mean.
Yeah, because he left after that first period.
Yeah. No, he came to the bench, and Crow came for a sub, and he was like, I can't. And I was like, hey, dude, slide all the way down, because if you're sitting here, people think that you're a fresh body.
Yeah, go.
So he slid all the way down, and then he couldn't get through the Zamboni doors fast enough.
No, when that buzzer rang.
Oh, my God.
I skated over to the bench, and he was a poor guy. He was having a hard time getting the door open.
Yeah.
And Dave and I are yelling at him, you go, and he looked so frightened.
I mean, I think Dave was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Dave and I are fucking yelling at him. He can't get the door open fast enough.
Oh my God. But But
no, like you, Schloss, Tony,
Cole,
Crow, Jake.
Yeah.
Cole is... That guy has got to be one of the biggest hearted, nicest individuals I have ever seen, and a phenomenal hockey player.
God, dude.
I told him one time after a game, I was like, man, if I would have loved to have seen you play in high school, like when you were skinny. I would have loved to have seen that.
What's always fascinating to me is because he's sold Mickey.
Oh my God. We could do a whole podcast on Mickey.
We could. He seldom, if ever, will pick up the puck in his own end and coast to coast it. Every once in a while.
Nah.
And
if he sees an opportunity.
Yeah. Or if he feels like just for a second I got to put the team,
right.
You know, we're down 4, I'm going to give us 1
and
then I'll turn it back over to you guys.
Right.
But it's never a sure. I'm not that motivated to see the result of the end of the play because it's, you know, probably it's either going to be a goal or a turnover or, you know, a good scoring opportunity that comes back. Or
no, I like watching the journey.
That's where I'm going. Like, cause he can just like, you know, once the puck's on his tape, he can be like, oh, there's 4 situations that I'm definitely going to encounter. And I know before I get there how I'm going to navigate them all. And
correct.
That I'm just like,
and he's got that ability that Yager had, where he can use his body. You are not going to get near the puck.
I know
when he uses his
that's
body. That's
so
that way.
Frustrating.
Yeah.
Like as thinking of somebody trying to defend.
He can just put himself in position where you're not going to be around it.
Yeah. And also he is not a small human.
I love it when other players try to body him off the puck.
I just chef. I hate the chef kiss so much, but sometimes there's no substitute. Just
magnifique.
Yeah, but it is. I mean, a really good group, and you know, poor Steven. There was a concert happening the night of his last game.
Oh, so parking was a peach.
Well, but we managed to find pieces of and we gathered for as soon as it was like you say socks and Facebook wants to sell you. As soon as the cans were open, the sky just opened and just fucking dumped. I mean, and so like 4 of us were like under Moose's open hatch, and I wasn't one of the 4. I just to the bone. I'm immediately sick. My socks, just everything, just my underwear. And I was like, fuck this. We got to go. Love you, Steven. Bye. It was like the worst send-off ever. And then followed up immediately by Dave's, which was perfect. You know, I think Moose brought some booze and there was a lot of beer and it was a relatively decent puck drop. So nobody was too hard-pressed to get out of there. And the whole time I'm like, poor Steven. He just got the worst fucking send-off ever. But, so... what was the first one you bought record wise?
Motley Crue's Shout at
the Devil. That's right. And then
quickly from that I went to AC/DC.
Okay. Do you remember which AC/DC you got first?
I want to say it was Highway to Hell.
Okay.
Or Back in Black. I do. Yeah. I have both of them.
Sure.
So I can't remember which one was first.
I had a cousin who actually, I mean, he lives in Florida now and grew up there, but for a while they lived in Shawnee and we're really close in age. And so for a couple years, like they lived in Shawnee for a little bit and then they moved to Ottawa. So I was like spending the night all the time hanging out with them. And like I got him to play on my baseball team. But when they moved here, he was already like a pretty big AC/DC fan. And we also both dove into gangster rap at the same time. Like we would go to the music store, and he would buy a tape, and I would buy a tape, and we'd listen to him, and then we'd trade. Just Walkmans in his room. But he made me. He's like, you got to start with Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, and I was like, that is such a fucking mouthful for not only a title but a song name, and then in that song you got to sing that line over and over again. And the cover is like just a shot of people
with
walking
their
around,
eyes blacked out. Yeah.
And then track 2, I believe, is Big Balls.
Yes.
And I just remember being like, you can do that? I mean, it's tongue in cheek, so to speak, but not really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very
barely tongue in cheek.
Yeah. And then I went. I think from there I went. He might have made me go Who Made Who.
Okay.
That
was part of a soundtrack.
It was the soundtrack,
Maximum Overdrive,
which was not cool concept, kind of a shitty movie.
Yeah.
Like the only reason I watched it was to hear the AC/DC songs that I already knew.
Right.
And then I went Back in Black. Eventually I had all of them. I mean, I kept Razor's Edge. I was like, all right, I don't know. Thunderstruck is cool, but
there was a guy I worked with that Thunderstruck was his favorite AC/DC song. And I cannot fathom why. It's not a bad song,
No.
per se, but to have that as your favorite AC/DC song, I'm just like,
I mean, it's conceptually cool because you have the build up.
I mean, what a great way to start a sports event.
Well, that's why it can't be your favorite, because it's permanently.
Yeah.
Like anybody that hears Bob Seger Like a Rock and doesn't picture a truck commercial, splashing through a creek bed, and
Exactly.
a man puts his cowboy boot on.
That cannot be your favorite song.
So AC/DC, and where from there?
I kind of got in just like Red Hot Chili Peppers, just a bunch of different things.
Okay.
Jane's Addiction, and it was mainly through my older cousin.
Okay.
Because he listened to everything.
Nice.
So he kind of forced my musical taste to become eclectic.
So, like I said, getting this going 13 months or whatever. And
congratulations to you, by the way.
Thanks.
This is really awesome.
Thank you. It's weird because a lot of you kind of make an outline of things that you think need to happen to get you to go.
Sure.
And like, oh, that'll be no problem. I can handle. That's going to be a major challenge, and this one is going to like get us stuck in the mud because I'm going to have to like figure out what I don't even know.
Right.
And then start learning stuff, and then bring myself back. Okay, now the ship's going. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so the idea of asking the guest to name like their most influential favorite, whatever album of all time,
Okay.
was like, that was like a concrete footing for a deck post, like not negotiable. And then, once I'm down the road in other venues, I'm like, oh, it doesn't have to be that, However, now the purpose that it serves for me is a sign of you, and like you're invested in scheduling an episode.
Sure.
So we have a conversation. And this is super. So many people are like, nope, absolutely not. Like, don't want to hear their voice, see their face, be recorded, be on the internet.
I think this is a blast.
I'm not a music guy. It's like, I'm not going to fucking grill you like this is the ACT and your future depends on your answer. I don't know that much, And then there's people that like, oh, I got to take fill in the blank amount of time to figure out what my record's going to be. And to which I say, take your time. Also, it doesn't have to be one. If it has to be 5 with 3 alternates and an alternate for an alternate, I don't give a shit. I mean, one person sent me a list.
Holy fuck.
That he's like, during pandemic, I tried to make a top 100 favorite out or whatever, top something.
Sure.
And then I went back and like listened to almost all of those albums and made a whole bunch of cuts. So then I started a fresh list, and I was busy. So
right.
Here's where I got. So I have like 15 things to like have some, before his turn comes.
Right.
But so people are all over the board, but the hardest thing is getting people to say yes and then getting them to show up. And so if you have somebody that's like, absolutely, or I'm geeked out about doing, I'm like, fucking A, dude. Yeah. You are my bread and butter. Like that is, Yeah. Same with the album choosing. Like there are some people, like, again, was that just on the nightstand? Just been waiting for somebody to ask. And so if when I ask the question, because it's a lot, it's like it's like trying to get laid. Like,
right.
I'm courting you. And if I get you into like, I can tell that you're actually engaged in the conversation,
right.
and paying attention and giving me specific answers to stuff.
If we allow you to fumble with our bras,
yeah, exactly. So I'll get to a point where it's like, all right, so Tuesday evenings and Saturday afternoons is when I'm trying to record, and these dates this is when stuff starts to open up, but I won't really do that part until they've given me an album.
Right.
Because that says like, okay,
you're invested.
You're invested, and now we'll open up the calendar. But so when I get to that point and somebody's like, the Cult Electric, I'm like, I fucking love you. Like, yes. And this is so when I hired the gal to design the logo and
Oh, that's cool.
and build a website. She built it. She's like, cool. Start sending me episodes. I'm like, that's really far down the road. I don't know why I thought I should give you money and hire you to do this because I'm not ready. And then we started to get. I was like, all right, I'm getting really close. And she's like, I need bio for the site. And I was like, oh, I have to describe what this is. Okay. All right. So I thought about it and what it is, and this is the first record that really put me in the heart of the bio, because the bio says that I was, I've been wearing the cloak, the official cloak of music snobbery for more years than I care to count.
Right.
Just fucking putting labels on people. Oh,
No, and I can remember a locker room conversation between me, you, and Crow, because Crow and I are metal guys.
yeah, yeah,
And you were just like, no.
yeah. Well, I just never. I don't think that I was ever steering, but I never went down that path.
Right.
And then by the time I grew to this point, because my path was, my dad gave me a couple of really weird vinyl albums for Christmas one year. I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? And then it was just, I lived only in the world of oldies, because my mom bought a car that only had AM, so 71 WHB was all. I mean, I fucking knew every song by heart. And then, I'm a little older, and now I'm tuning into KY102 and the Fox and
Right.
Q104, and so it's morphing my own, and so I get to this point where, like, I am well aware of. I'm also, by the way, trying to learn how to play guitar.
Right.
Like, mastering an instrument, or at least getting to a point where you have confidence to
Comfortable with
say,
it. Yeah.
I'll sit in a room with some other musicians and noodle, and then there's get on, like, when we used to have Battle of the Bands in high school.
Yes, I remember
and it's
that.
like, those people are out of their fucking mind. Like, they are doing this.
I can remember a few of those at East.
That's where it was.
Yeah.
That's where it was. And they're good. You're like, what? How did you? Okay. And then you think about, being a professional, going into a studio. I've talked about this on a bunch of episodes, but, basically, if you sign with a label, the label has an expectation of what you will generate, and they're going to pony up money for studio time. And so bring all of your pretty polished rehearsal, jam, local bar, live show, all of that. And we're going to 3-minute and 45 songs, and the fights that have to come from that, deciding, what songs, what's the sequence of the songs, how are the credits going to be written, and that's, we haven't even done take one.
Right.
Maybe track 2 took 17 takes, and 6 fights happened, and somebody got arrested, and now they got to pony up more studio time because the thing just grew longer.
Yeah.
And so thinking about, like, a band and music and the craft, and I couldn't see where there's space for fast sequences of power chords and screaming. So I never, like,
Sure.
like, I remember, like, meeting Metallica fans for the first time and going, for real? Like, I know they put out some albums, but people buy them and they listen, and that's, metal is just one, example.
Right.
So the point of the bio is, like, I know what I thought was good music for all these years, but that was just me. So now I want to know for you, and this is perfect because I don't know exactly probably sophomore year, somewhere around there, I came up with this mantra that anybody that listened to the 3 C's, losers, and I bet you can tell me who they are. Because your band is one of them, or the artist of the album you chose is one of them.
The Cult.
Mm-hmm.
The Cure.
Mm-hmm. There's one more. It's also got a the.
God damn it. Ah, fuck, I'm drawing a blank.
The Clash.
God damn it.
And sincerely, Louis C.K.'s got a bit about it's the whole thing is so fucking good. God does a 5-minute press conference. Hey everybody, I'm the Lord. Yeah, Mormons just no. Well, also just go home. And Jewish people, I don't wear a hat or don't. I don't give a fuck. Just I send everybody to hell that wears one of those. Now you know. Why are you not fucking the animals? Like, there's only 30,000. What are the rest of you? You're eating them? Oh, that's disgusting. How could you eat a perfectly fuckable pig? And also, I never cared who you fucked. I don't. It was Adam and Eve and Steve, and they were fucking each other, and I was jerking off, and it was just use all the holes. That's all. That's all I get. But he's got a bit in there where he's in front of a drugstore, and there's a wheelchair on display. He's like, "Is that really an impulse purchase?" Like,
You know what? And a wheelchair.
That would help with my paralysis. That way I wouldn't have to drag myself everywhere like I've been doing for the last 10 years. When I lost my legs at the marathon, and then everybody goes, "Oh," and he's like, "Oh, bunch of fucking hypocrites."
That's the line. Okay.
Yeah, I see. Because a minute ago you were cackling about not those type of legless people. No, we're making fun of all legless people equally. But if somebody like, see it on a notebook or hear them say it, the worst case scenario, like unforgivable, no return if you had a poster.
Right.
Especially The Cure,
Of The Cure.
Robert Smith in your bedroom. What is, so, I'm obviously,
I would also add the Smiths to that.
He also talks about when he's traveling abroad, and people are always telling you, don't go to go to the tiny little town, you're gonna love it. He's like, you don't know me. I don't want to go to some town where a clock just goes pang like whenever, and there's a dog walking alone. He's like, I don't like little shops either. Oh, let's go in this little shop. Let's get a divorce. That sounds better. And he goes, because you go in, and you go in a little shop, and now it's just you and her. You're surrounded by her dream. You made this? Really? Instead of killing yourself, you made this? And he goes, all my fantasies are about being more mean than I already am. I'd love to just walk in and go, ugh, and I don't like this. What's your name? Fuck you, Debbie.
Oh my god. I'm gonna have to go find that.
So I'm obviously aware of The Cure and this whatever. Like just no longer am I gonna just throw bags of diarrhea on it. It can just exist over here.
Right.
The Clash.
There's room for everything.
The Clash has I've been astounded, especially preparing for episodes where they've really just been huge influences, and they put out some mammoth albums, and I'm like, didn't know.
Yeah.
Never in my life that I could honestly recall have I listened to The Cult. And when I put on Electric, I was like, get the fuck out of here. This is fucking awesome.
It is. It's an amazing album.
Well, and it was the one that really pushed.
Launched
but
them.
then the Sonic Youth, was that
Yeah.
next?
Yeah, that was
apparently
the next
that was
big
even
one.
bigger.
Yeah. And they had already been a band for 20 years at that point.
Yeah.
Started out as the Southern Death Cult, and then
20 years.
at that point, they have 102 fucking albums.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
all with the same group. And I know from my time being in band, there is no way I could have hung out with those assholes for 20 fucking years. But
Well, I mean,
I would have killed one of them.
This is why. I mean, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, I mean, I only did the narrowest dive, looking at, and they've had like a couple of breakups and reunions, and there's a line in there because there's a couple key guys in the band, and it's like by such and such time the relationship between the two had already deteriorated, and it's like when is that not the story for a band that has been together for that long? I mean, it's because not only all of the little details and the immeasurable amounts of effort and love and investment to get it up and floating, maybe moving, then that's you're still Jason that leaves the band and goes home at night, and maybe your thing is that you keep hitting strangers with a fucking pitchfork, or you drink a fifth of Jameson every night, or whatever.
Right.
But all of that for each person trickles into the energy circle of the band.
Right. Well,
and eventually somebody's going to be like, I think I've had enough of you. Like this is just.
And those are for the bands where they separate. With the stupid dynamic in mind was we all lived in the same fucking house.
Oh God. Do you know who Olivia Rodrigo is?
It seems to me I've heard the name.
Dude. My daughter is like one of the most fascinating human beings I've ever known. Mm-hmm. I mean, her whole life is just, hey, don't stare. Like, and then you realize what a losing battle that is. And so you make it look like you're not staring so much, kind of just occasionally, right. And she retains it all. So much so that like when she was tiny and just, really she's got the conversation thing down. Somebody's making a comment to her about how fascinating this element to her personality is. And they're like, I'll bet you even remember being in your mama's tummy. And she's like, I do. I do. And because you hear that, right. Like you develop the relationship based on the sound of your parents' voices and all this other stuff that's happening. And I think it was my sister, and she was like, you do? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, what was it like? And she didn't blink an eye. She goes, it was like living in a backpack. And we were like,
that's amazing.
Probably is a lot like that, honestly.
I would assume.
So, she's very, unfortunately, she's a brand snob. And that snobbery, there's a main feeder from both of her parents. Like, right. I'm not launching blame over the fence.
Right.
I mean, case in point, the music,
right.
So she's got these elements about her that are concerned with image. And as this process has gone along, she's, been like, you said you were going to start a podcast. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm fucking trying. I know it doesn't look like it, but I swear to you, I'm trying. And then, the biggest hurdle, like, I made a lot of, get the space, make some, a blueprint on like a list of people and whatever. And then a pretty significant primary purchase of the gear. And as I kind of am trying to fumble my way through, it's like, return this and buy this and return that and buy this. Then I have everything. And it's like, now I got to figure out how to use it all.
Right. And
especially the software to produce. And then the edit is like inside the editing software. I know it's like, it's such a small portion of what that program can do.
Right.
I don't care about any of it all. Maybe one day I will, as I kind of accidentally learn things, but I know the things that I need to do to get it up and out
bones,
there. Yeah. So I was really stuck. Like because I was going down a YouTube rabbit hole trying to like, or honestly just Googling stuff, and there's so much information out there that you lose track of what your question was, and then you often wind up at a YouTube video, and it's like this. I'm not wired to learn this way. Like I don't, because I'm on a device and I've got my phone, and it was really overwhelming. So thankfully, a couple people came and spent some time and really so. But in that murky kind of stuck phase,
Right.
I had said, once I have an idea of what I'm going to do, we'll do a mock episode, and we'll put it up. You'll be the first one, and then episode 1 kind of came together. It had to happen the way it had to happen, and she was like, "I guess I'm not going to be first, but And then, she's over that, but once like episode 1 spilled into 2 and 3, one day she was just like, "You're so cool," and I was like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Yes, I did it. So I told her, "Okay, well, no more. We don't need to do the mock. That was a thing, and now you can just do an episode." And she's like, "Well, let's go." I'm like, no. You also have to invest yourself in. You have to have something to talk about. So you got to like familiarize. So she's like, "Okay, all right," and she's not. She hears stuff in the car, and maybe if she's sitting around on a device. But I was like, "You got to pick an album, and you got to know it, and we're going to talk about it." So she's wavered a couple times, but she's finally landed on this Olivia Rodrigo. "Sour" is the name of the album.
Okay. What type of music?
She's like singer-songwriter ish, pop. But her springboard was a tune called "Driver's License." And if you have been sincere about some of these planes, trains, and automobiles miracle moments, and you're a girl dad too. Emma is your daughter, right?
Yes.
Is she 24? 23.
Yeah.
Okay. And Lawrence, Eudora.
In Lawrence, she's recently graduated from KU.
Did she care at all about the championship, or
No.
Not one iota?
She's not a sports.
Okay. So this girl writes this song, and the song is about getting her driver's license. And she's like, "I got my driver's license today," and she's singing to an ex who's slightly older than her. And it's significant because while they were a surefire, can't miss, forever thing, he always had to go pick her up because she wasn't old enough to drive. And so they were always looking forward to the day that she can drive to his house. And so, but now she has it, and they're not a thing, and so she drives past his street alone. Such an amazing song. It is so fucking cool. But it just, launched her into outer space. And like early first semester, senior year of high school, the thing explodes. And she and I just last Saturday, I think it was, watched, there's a Netflix documentary about the making of the album. And, she starts her senior year, this song comes out, and the next thing you see, she's moving out of her parents' home. I'm like, what are you doing? Why in the absolute fuck would you move out? And then it pans to this house that she now has, and it's relatively furnitureless. There's some things here and there, but all of the band member, her backup, they're recording the whole album. And I was like, oh, that's why you couldn't do that at mom and dad's house. Like, and legit, keys and bass and drum, like, and so it takes up a lot of space, and I'm sure it's fucking loud. And so she put out another, I believe the second single is called Deja Vu. Oh, it's probably better than Driver's License.
Olivia Rodrigo.
Okay.
Okay.
And not that I have a viewership worth mentioning, but I'm sure there's plenty of people that would hear that and be like, whatever. Dude. Oh, so it's such, and the unfortunate piece is the whole album is about breakups and devastation, and probably all pointing back at this one relationship.
Right.
And it's like, I really, really, really don't understand how you captured this very, very adult experience and composed a song, like lyrically, and then put music to it. I mean,
I don't have that kind of mind.
yeah, and but I still, and I'm like, it's kind of unfortunate that it's all this. And she says in the documentary, like, I hope that I hope that's not the experience I have to have in order for the creative juices to get flowing, because that's not.
No,
I can't live my whole life just pining over the one that got, But I lost my train of thought again. But my daughter's gonna do an episode, and we'll talk plenty of Olivia Rodrigo.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Yeah. But man, I still, I can't believe how. And again, I've not like put energy into avoiding Metallica, avoiding the Cult.
Right.
It's just, I've just kind of navigated this
You have your own
path.
path, yeah.
And I put this record on, and I was like, holy shit, man. Like, what a dipstick I was. Like, I can't, and it's not like, it's not, as Schloss likes to say about Fish, not my cup of tea, man. Not my cup of tea. I mean, I'm not going to like become some professor that teaches a course on the Cult's discography.
Right.
I don't even know how much I'll revisit Electric. I might. I mean, it's on my phone now, so it'll come up when I'm shuffling, which is almost exclusively how I listen to music.
Right.
Who knows? Maybe I'll grab Sonic Youth, and but it's literally the opposite end of one of the like the legless people that one of the to what it could have if this album would have landed in my lap at a different time, my entire path could have changed.
Right.
And it's just really bizarre.
And and that's why it immediately came to mind, because it did make that path change for me.
I was like this, and I was like, oh, this has got fucking the Jason Proffitt that I met and have come to know well, fucking stamped. I mean, like, not today, but I can just see it, as a milestone or a place, like, Lord of the Rings, and you go past a boulder, and Proffitt was here. Like, I figured he would have been here. But man, so I don't know why, but the name Ian Astbury is just, he doesn't look familiar. It doesn't appear he was, in other outfits that were as significant.
Yeah, no.
But I don't know why that name, like, I keep looking at that name like, who the fuck is that guy?
He's a really interesting guy.
Okay.
He's written a couple books. I haven't read them.
Have you seen the meme? Very much speaks to me. It's like one of the real dramatic, like Robert Downey Jr. eye roll.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The meme is the books that I haven't read when they see me buying more books.
Yeah, that's me pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's interesting, and he's written a couple books.
Yeah. And him and the guitarist
Billy.
Shit.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but
S. I think it starts with an S.
yeah. But they've been together forever.
Okay.
And he's just got this distinct, lyrically, especially on that album, lyrically, it's lights out. And I know those two collab on it. I think Astbury comes up with most of it. But his voice,
Yeah. Well,
is just
immediately
distinctive.
I'm like, did Henry Rollins and Billy Idol have a baby that I didn't know about?
Yeah.
And he's the lead singer of fucking the Cult.
Yeah, his voice is so distinctive
You
and
know,
powerful.
Was that Rollins's outfit before he was doing solo
Yes.
shit? Like, I mean, it was one of those like, what's going on? Like immediately, like first track, I'm like, holy shit, like surprise at how much I was like, oh, this jams.
Yeah.
And then immediately, I'm like, I feel like I've been here before. I don't know where, and I don't know how to get out of here. But it was very bizarre.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Really good way.
Yeah, that was definitely a path changing album for me.
Yeah.
Musically.
Man, such good stuff.
And the cover they do of Born to Be Wild.
Yeah. I knew this was going to come up.
Completely annihilates the original.
Well,
in my book.
I don't disagree whatsoever, but so here's another vein of snobbery. So I did my oldies thing, and then eventually, I figured out KY102 was a Q104 and the Fox.
Mm-hmm.
This is my home. These are my people.
Sure.
This is my tribe. And I stayed in that camp many seasons longer than I should have. They were telling me, you go home, dude. You're going to get us in trouble. There's kids here. You can't. And I'm like, I'm here and my dick's out. So do what you're going to do, but you sent your kids here.
Run for the door if you have to.
That deciding that and staying there also coincided with a pretty significant stretch of my restaurant time, which is almost exclusively back of the house. And so you think about dinner. I mean, forget about breakfast places just for the sake of this discussion, but you think about lunch service and dinner service. Like, how long are those windows? Lunch is 90 to 120 minutes. Dinner's
a little longer.
Yeah. And that's, that's when everybody's got to be on the same team, firing on all cylinders, working as a unit,
Right.
and take away those windows, and everybody is at their position doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. Like you're, learning the new cocktail menu, or, hoping that you make X amount of money tonight because your wine key broke, and that if you show up without a wine key, they'll send you home.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in the back, you're prepping, and the amount of prep that goes into, compared to the time, to fire a dish, to put the thing in the window, like is so, a grain of sand versus the whole beach.
Right.
So when you have all of this prep time, and then cleanup time, there's without question music being played.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of that, just more classic rock. And when I did the Lose thing, man, I had some really long weeks, and that kitchen is separate from the dish area.
Yeah.
So you've got, and there is no shift in the Lose week that includes a dishwasher.
No fucking shit.
No fucking shit. And do you know where all the dirty dishes from the guest go?
Not into the
Back
dish.
into the kitchen on a 3-tiered cart that somebody from the kitchen has to get it over there. So, but whenever 3 bus tubs are full, get it back there, and then 3 new bus tubs. And then when there's a lull, you just kind of work on the dishes while you can. So, you get Tuesday night or whatever, and you're 3 to close or 5 to close, and close is 3 a.m.
Right.
So you're back in that little dish room with a little radio, and by the time I'm there, I've like sworn off classic rock, because I stayed so long. I really ruined a lot of songs and a lot of artists for myself. Like at one time I didn't mind Creedence. Now if I hear ding ding, I'm like, turn it off. Fucking don't. But so when your favorites play, like you just all this garbage and commercials and songs you've heard 8 billion, and then like you get like those opening notes to a Hey You,
Right.
and you're just like, oh, and then you just the top of your lungs.
Right.
I've heard Born to Be Wild so many fucking that it makes me cringe.
No, it does me too.
So I that track 10 or whatever.
That's why when I heard that version, I was like, I'm not sick of that song anymore.
Well, alls I can do immediately. I hear the other one. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I see what you're doing. I like it. But I hear that other one, and it makes me want to drive to a playground and start punching kids in the face. But man, and really, like I didn't. The first 3 tracks, or even the first 4 tracks, like just and then the middle, I'm kind of like, all right. And there's a couple that I like, but man, just they come out of the gates. Peace Dog just fucking shreds.
Contrary Man is one of my favorites.
Contrary Man. I don't even know if I have it open still. So we got Wildflower, Peace Dog, Lil Devil, Aphrodisiac Jacket, Electric Ocean, Bad Fun, King, Contrary Man.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, man. That's fucking, I mean.
Well, I'm really glad you enjoyed it. I did not think that you would.
Okay.
I to be honest.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I saw it and I was like, this is what you signed up for.
yeah.
Get in there, you know. So-and-so's hurt, so you're coming off the bench and you must make these free throws. Like, so, and you know, I haven't, I'm still thankful that I didn't have to do consecutive 311 episodes, because one, I had to, you know, I'm just like, Louis has a bit where he talks about, so I'm in Poland because I had to go to Poland to do shows, and I went to Auschwitz. And I like it. I like it there. And he's like, it's nice now. They have a gift shop. And he's like, can you imagine like being there and telling, like, they're gonna sell tickets to this? But he said, I had 42 family members that went to Auschwitz. And everybody's like, oh. And he's like, I mean, they were guards. They worked there, so it was fine. Like, no. They were Jews, and they all died. We're good. Except for my grandfather. My grandfather smelled that shit and got the fuck out of there. And he was like, was it Hungary, Poland, wherever. He's like, they weren't even occupied. There's like, take our Jews, all of our Jews, take them. And my grandfather, he smelled that shit and got the fuck. And so he went to Mexico. And he's like, Jew schmoo, somos católicos. And you see, like, there's a picture of my grandfather in his passport picture, and he's just like, because they don't know what a Jew looked like in Mexico. He's just like, kind of hope, you know. He also, while he's there in that neck of the woods, he talks about my grandparents. Here's how it worked. Here's how the reason that I'm alive. My grandparents had a baby, and they named it Geza, and it was a shitty baby, so it died. And so they had another one. They're like, well, fuck it, Geza, just again. And that was his grandfather that got them out of there. And he's like, but how wild is it that used to just be the way it was forever until recently? Babies just wouldn't die, or you know, babies would die, and they'd be like, "Did you hear about Matt? No, he was here for a day. Fuck him. I don't, you know." This one's good. We gotta, you know, and what's crazy is now we want to save all the babies, and the shittier the baby, the bigger the effort. And people are like, "Look at this baby. It's fucking just ugh." And we're going to save it. And the baby's like, please don't.
Oh, my God.
He talks all about getting in trouble.
About the thing.
Yeah, he has the whole thing about it near the end. It is just, I mean, so good. And then he put one out called Sorry recently, and I'm like, he did a 20-minute long joke about Good Will Hunting. I'm like, you're the greatest comic on the planet. How did you not know that you should skinny that back a little bit.
Yeah.
It's still good. It's still Louis, but
Right.
compared to Sincerely, it's nothing. I liked Little Devil Outlaw and fucking Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin produced this
Producer,
shit.
yeah.
This is going to be the probably third or fourth time I've said this, but when we were engaged to get married, we started taking like ballroom dancing lessons
Oh, okay.
for like a year and a half.
Just for the wedding?
Well, I mean, a thing to first of all, we weren't living together. I was working and I was in grad school. She had 2 jobs and then somewhere in the mix also started grad school. So we like seldom saw each other. And it made it really hard because, you know, we wanted it to not be that way.
Right.
But there were so many nights where she'd be like, we'd finish up a thing, especially those dance lessons twice a week or whatever it was. And then, well, why don't you just come over? And it's like, dude, I have fucking homework. You know, I can't. There's no, this is grad school. Like,
Right.
you know, college, I stepped it up compared to the effort I gave in high school because I felt educated.
Right.
And I'm like, now we're we're learning about like cool shit, and also I'm on my own and I'm on the hook for the fucking bill. So not that I was some great student, but then grad school is even another tick up where it's
Right.
like you say for one evening, okay, I'll come spend the night. You might not get those hours back for the whole. You're fucked for the whole
Forever,
semester.
yeah.
So we're kind of like moving through, you know, this introductory level of ability. We're kind of progressing across, and eventually we reach a point where we're like, okay, we want to spend our lessons working on our first dance. And how we chose that song was, and this is such, I mean, this token poster, like this is how she is with music. Like I looked the other day at the list that I made of possible guests a year ago, last March, and she's on there, and then she's crossed out. And I think I was trying like every human I know, and then I was like, there's no way
No.
we could not even, and our relationship's decent,
Right.
but there'd be nothing coming. I'd just be trying to put stuff
That would
there.
just be
Yeah.
awkward.
Well, I mean, but I'm saying as a music person, she's
Right.
not that anyway.
So what was the song?
So she heard me. I mean, like, there's a book somewhere behind me called "Why Bob Dylan Was Important," and she like saw it on a trip and was like, I did a 3-part blog. It actually has ended up being 5 parts, but 3 real parts breaking down the top 25 Bob Dylan albums of all time, and an introductory post and explaining what I'm doing here, and then I went like from 25 to whatever, and then in 3 parts, and then the final part I did another post on the albums that didn't make the list, and every one of his albums I gave 3 front to back listens. And I started with the bulk of his discography on cassette as part of I've been a huge fan for years, but I had to acquire a lot of the newer stuff, and it's on CD. I had to get some stuff through the library because I couldn't source it anywhere else. So we had this huge craft table in the basement, and I ended up like taken for the purpose of the post, I took this picture of all of the Bob Dylan. It was like vinyl and CD and cassette. It's a really cool picture. Same with Neil Young. I mean, I didn't write a big giant thing about Neil Young, but I've been a big Neil Young fan for a long. So she gets me this book. I'm like, I'm sure that this guy that wrote this book like had fantastic intentions, and good for him. He saw it through, but I know why Bob Dylan was important, like very, very well. So she heard me saying something about Neil Young, and she's out somewhere, who knows, weeks or months later, comes across the brand new Neil Diamond CD, and comes like wrapped it and I opened it up and I was like, what are we doing? And she's like, you said at that time. I was like, Neil Young. She's like, oh, turns out, and this is what's wild, this fucking album is incredible. It's so fucking good. It's called 12 Songs, I believe is the name of it. And it's not becoming, it's singer-songwriter. Like, I am serious. Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
Sent him to like a fucking cabin for like 6 months with his guitar. And he came back and he's like, here. And Rick Rubin was like, get back up there. This is absolute dog shit. And so he sent him back up there and he came back. He's like, all right, there we go.
Yeah, my mom was a huge Neil Diamond fan.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
Do you realize he has over like 600 songs or something?
Wow.
I mean, it's some incredible number. Yeah.
So it is seriously such a good album.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a song on there called Man of God, and I'm a Catholic and I send my kids to Catholic school and sometimes I go to mass and, I try to like live by whatever, but I'm not a man. I'm not, and that song, it's so simple and stripped, probably exactly why I got sent back up there. And, it's got like this old fucking, church,
right?
Real quiet, but succinct organ feel to it. Anyway, we chose this song called We, and the whole thing is love is all about we.
Right.
And it's really cute. And there was one gal, because this was May of 07, that caught it on her phone, some old fucking flip phone.
Right.
The only record, she hasn't had that phone in like 10 years. That was the only, I've never seen it. I've never saw the dance. Like we have our teacher, when we were right near the end, she gave us like a DVD of us practicing at the dance place.
Okay.
But in our wedding gear with, 300 people or whatever at the reception site and we fucking nailed it. I mean,
can you still ballroom dance?
No, I mean, but I mean, it had fucking, we moved around the room and there was like lots of intricate pieces and we would, get stuck and struggle and have to work on something. And then we got it and move on to the next thing. And by the time it was a complete deal, it was like, really impressive. This pressure to like remember what the next move and the next phase. I mean, it's fucking like a 4-minute long song.
Wow.
Yeah. But muscle memory, man.
Sure.
Like even if you for a second felt kind of, and like our wedding reception night was bananas. I mean, I think initially, we had 420, somewhere around 420 was the number of people we were going to invite. And we skinnied it back to like 385.
Jesus.
And I think, I don't know, 40, 50 people RSVP'd no. So we ran out. We didn't eat. I mean, because people were we had a nice menu and a nice, and so people were just fucking like
loading up.
Yeah, and people you should see how much food that guy was telling us. And there's an album of pictures from the night, from the reception, and so many of them are just like fucking fantastic pictures of people dancing. Because I was like, you get all that, I got the DJ, and I had a list. I had a no playlist. I was like, if you play any of these songs, you will not get paid. I'm like, no, not kidding. I don't care. I don't care if the Pope shows up and requests it. You're not fucking playing.
What were some of the songs on the list?
Oh God. I mean, the typical, Chicken Dance, YMCA, We Are Family, Brick House. Can't tell you how many wedding receptions.
Shout, was that on there from Animal House?
No.
Okay.
No. But how many times I've been at a fucking wedding reception and everybody's out there, like grandmas and shit, are grinding to Brick House.
Yeah.
It's a song about a dude talking about what a bombshell
the
this
measurements
lady is.
of a woman.
Yeah. And how much he wants to put
Yeah.
his business in her business.
Yes.
And everybody's out there, you know, break it down, break it down, break it down. I'm like, this is so fucking weird. What are we doing? Like, why are we? But it
Like
was,
grinding on your grandma to that song.
yeah, B-52s, like no
yeah.
B-52s.
No.
But so, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of cool pictures. Like we all were, I mean, we stayed at the, in a room at the Intercontinental and literally like ordered, I'm wasted and ordered room service because we ran out of food. We hadn't eaten. And I mean, it showed up and we got in bed and then like woke up and it was all just like French fries and shit, just like, you know, barely got. So I mean, it was just, we got married at St. Peter's and then hired a trolley to take the wedding party down to the Luce Mansion. And we stopped in Westport, just right there in the middle of Westport, and all got off and went into McCoy's because that's where we met.
Oh shit!
And then the whole there's an epic picture, like the photographers are with us, so they like got on chairs and there's all of us having a shot at the place that we met. Just a lot of cool, but yeah, it all started off with her. Neil Diamond, right?
Neil Diamond.
Not even close. Not even just the same first name is the only thing they have in common. But man, that was where I was like, Rick Rubin, didn't he used to hang out with the Beastie Boys? No, he's fucking the weird dude. He's anytime you see
beard.
old like images from a recording studio and somebody's at he's always there. I'm like,
it's always
this motherfucker's always there.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
yeah, Beastie Boys, Aerosmith.
Yep.
I mean, the list is probably phenomenal.
Yeah. And still, I mean, he's still just doing, churning out. Anyway, so where did you go from electric? Ish, roughly.
I think I started my journey. I started with like 40s big band stuff.
Really?
Went through a phase of that. Yeah.
Okay.
50s and 60s.
Okay.
Rock, that kind of stuff. I just kind of progressed like through the years until I got up to where I was, and then that's when I started doing Jane's Addiction and all that other stuff.
Man,
the weird stuff.
Okay. I remember I used to sit next to a dude who would always, write Jane's Addiction on his notebook, and for whatever reason, and the time period could have, how long this lasted could be much shorter than I actually remember. But it felt like, for whatever reason, Jane's Addiction was like inaccessible. Like somebody's Tony across the street's big brother has got Nothing Shocking, and
right,
and eventually I discovered, oh no, it's just in the J section at the music store, and they've got two records, and you can own them both.
Yeah.
When I finally, Nothing Shocking, and what's the other one? I Can See the Two Naked Ladies in the chair.
Yeah, that's the one.
And then Been Caught Stealing was on the other one.
Right, that was.
Anyway, I was like, whoa, this is cool. Like, this is different and avant-garde and ballsy and grisly and just cool
visceral
stuff. Yeah, exactly. And this guy would tell me that he used to always tell about this show in Chicago, and probably happened more than once, but where Perry Farrell like jumped off the stage and kicked a dude in the chest, and he was wearing fucking golf spikes.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm scared. I want to go back to Led Zeppelin now, but then you hear him fucking, you're like, oh, I can totally see him doing that.
I went to weirder stuff. I was Korn and Tool and like even Kraftwerk. Have you ever heard of them?
I mean, of them, but I've never listened to them.
It's just a weird German band. It's
to be honest with you, I found myself. Korn was the first outfit where I was like, I had people in my life that I was just hanging out around a bunch. And some of them were like big into Korn, and so I heard that first record a lot.
Yeah,
and I was like, "See, this is cool because they they got the bagpipes, and you know, it's different. It's not to say that all thrash metal or speed metal or whichever metal, you know, sounds the same.
Right.
But in a sense, you know,
it was different.
Yeah.
It was different.
So
Marilyn Manson, he kind of made rock and roll scary again
Right,
for a little while.
Yeah. So, you know, like I said, if I'm, you know, learning an album or revisiting an album for the purposes of an episode, there's a direct intention. I do get stuck in spots where, like right now, I'm like hopelessly obsessed with Jenny Lewis. And she's been around. She's been in other bands, and I just came across because my if I sometimes like okay. So I had a girl that I really, really like a lot. She's super cool. We went to kindergarten together. That's how long I've known her.
Oh, wow.
I saw her. She had people over last summer, and it was one of those deals where I got there late, and it was like 6, and I think my kids had a soccer game, and then I had to shower, and it was 8:30 or something. And so by 10 o'clock, like everybody's checked out and they're leaving, they're going home. But I was like, hey man. And she was like, are you out of your fucking mind? And I was like, huh? She's like, there's no way in hell. I'm like, but you're really cool and a good looking gal, and you're smart and you love music. Like, you'd be perfect. And she was like, no. And I mean, like, with attitude. And I was like, I'm not going to accept that answer. She's like, I don't give a shit. I love you. No. So I came home and, like, you know, I was making this table at the time, and, you know, came home and had 56 drinks and drafted a real fucking sent it to her.
A good one.
Yeah. Like, you know, not being mean, just saying, please. And like a week or so went by, and she just said, Jenny Lewis, acid tongue. And I was like, fuck yes. I love you. Thank you. God damn it. So I'm really, you know, I'm not handy. This was a door behind it was framed. There was 2x4s. Like I really think somebody took a door and made it a tabletop for a wedding reception. And it sat behind my furnace for 8.5 years. And I finally got it out and cut it into thirds. And anyway, I'm working on this table. I get that, and I immediately put it on. And I'm like, how have I never even heard this girl's name? Because that record is really fucking... I developed like an immediate... I was like, I love this record. So then I go to her discography, and there's 2 others that, one of which is really good, and the other is like insanely better than the other 2 combined. It is so fucking good.
I'll have to look her up.
Yeah, I really, really love that record. And so...
Has anybody given you one that you're like, ooh, no? No? Okay.
I mean, I suspect that it'll happen, but I'll lie, and
well,
you know,
I know. Yeah,
I won't.
You won't be a dick, but I'm just...
If somebody comes at me with Meatloaf, I might tell them to go fuck themselves. I mean,
You've got other issues if Meatloaf is your go-to.
Well, Meatloaf, B-52s, Bon Jovi. That's kind of my holy trinity these days.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I can't really think of a human experience that grosses me out more than being at a bar and hearing that opening line to Shout to the Heart, whatever, and then always a minimum of 85%. Usually it's like 99.9% immediately are on board.
No.
And just they know every fucking word, and then they get to the chorus, and everybody, I'm just like,
I got sick of Bon Jovi at an early age because my sister in high school lived and breathed and got all goopy over Bon Jovi. And and
you know what if it's all girls, like they almost get a pass. I'm like, thank you for identifying the section of the bar that I don't want to have sex with.
Yeah.
But what makes it
That throws me when when dudes are like,
immeasurably worse is when you get a dude that'll like, I'm like, he's not shredding. There's no shredding on guitar happening. Why are you air guitaring to fucking
Richie Sambora.
Yeah. Oh God, it makes me. I like this. I was like, this is why Columbine happens and post office shootings, because you are so gross and you're courageously displaying
Defiantly.
this pool of toxicity that is affecting, so anyway.
I'm thinking the people that you know, probably not a whole lot of them are going to go with B-52s or.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
But she anyway. I got now. Okay, now we got to take my list of humans that I know and make it a realistic.
Right.
And I was like, "You ready?" And she was like, "For what?" And I was like, "Jenny Lewis, Acid Tongue." She was like, "The podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah. What else have I talked to you about in the last year? Nothing. Like, I'm tired of hearing myself talk to you about it. Like." She's like, "No." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "I'm not doing that." I was like, I'm like scrolling back. Did I fucking like get wasted and send her a dick pic? Or she's married happily with kids, and like where I must have done some looking under couch cushions for evidence. So finally I was like, did I? She's like, "No, I just don't want to be on a podcast." And I was like, "You're like one of my favorite females of all time, and now I'm hopelessly obsessed with this artist, and I need to have you in the chair to talk to about not only your record, but the one that I love," and blah, blah, blah. And she's going to be a Boulevardia.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. And she's like, "Yeah, no." And I'm like, when in this back and forth that we have going is the part where you're like, "All right, I'll think," or, turn, but she's just like, like, that's it. And I'm like,
stuck to her guns?
Yeah, and I haven't really, after that was just an afternoon, a few different times. I haven't really like revisited, and I probably won't. But like now I'm on a search for my new Jenny Lewis person. I have to do an episode about her because she's so. So anyway, this sometimes it'll just kind of, if you pick an album and run it all the way through, it'll just go from the end of that album into a shuffle mode of its own where it's feeding you similar artists.
Right.
So it fed me this song one day. I'm driving around, and it's called Silver Lining, and the song is by Rilo Kiley. I mean, it's fucking weird, but I absolutely love the ever-loving shit out of it. It's so fucking good that I'm just listening to it over. My kids are like, "All right, enough."
Enough of that.
I mean, I've like get bored with the song, and I'll pull up the official YouTube video, and I mean, and then I've downloaded the album, and it's the first track, and I've gotten into tracks 2, 3, and maybe even 4, and they're good. But I'll find myself enjoying them, but wanting to go back to that, and so I go back. And so the other day, and this has gone on for like weeks. The other day, I was like, "This is how I had more information." How it's because the album's from like 2012 or something. And I'm like, I got to figure out like how is this also just gone completely off, not on my radar. So I Googled the band. Who's the lead singer? Jenny Lewis. I'm like, no fucking wonder I love it so much. Like, holy shit. I've been thinking that this is just another person the whole time.
Well, that's because I have heard that name.
Okay,
Rilo Kiley, but I figured it was just another
I thought that was
artist.
Yeah. Man.
Well, I'm going to have to look her up, I guess.
Yeah, she's I think that you and I are on the same page with this. There is in the stand-up comic world, it's very, very largely male.
Oh,
and there's a lot of voiced opinions about how that's shitty, and a lot of times those voices are coming out of the mouths of females, and for many, many years, my response to that has been, why don't you save that for when they make a funny female stand-up? Because
and there are a lot of them.
Well, when I was like, I went from listening to that Bobcat Goldthwait show on cassette. Then I was like, I must have, and started consuming the first there used to be stand up on TV at Saturday nights, and the first I remember seeing Jeff Dunham cut his gums. I say,
Right.
I don't think cutting your teeth makes any sense because the teeth are cutting through the gums to get out.
Correct.
So why are we? It's not like we're biting tables and chewing on padlocks. So I say cutting gums. But I remember when Peanut and Jeff Dunham was brand, he had the jalapeno on a stick.
Oh yeah.
I mean, now he fucking wipes his ass with $1,000 bills. And anyway, George Wallace.
Oh, I do remember him.
He had a bit about the Civil War chess set. Like, why would I want to commemorate the? Oh, it's made out of fine pewter. Georgia. And so like Rita Rudner and Judy Tenuta and
I love Judy.
Somebody else,
Elaine Boozler, Paula Poundstone.
No, Ellen DeGeneres.
DeGeneres.
And I was like, okay,
If you're funny, you're funny,
right.
male or female.
See, I didn't, and those were the cream of the crop. They didn't make me laugh because they were, and it's the biggest piece of hypocrisy because to me, they and a lot of the females that followed since really, they kind of just go down this being a woman and dating guys topic tunnel, and they get bottleneck. It's got so
It's very formulaic almost.
But what makes me laugh is dudes talking about being dudes and being attracted to women. So it's completely hypocritical. But I have continued. I mean, that's like 86, the Bobcat and the George Wall, and but I've continued to consume stand up the whole time. And I find that there are funny females now, but like, you know, Tom Segura, Louis C.K., Bill Burr, Chappelle.
Yeah.
Those
are the goats as far as I'm concerned.
And there's no way, like the mountain for the females to get to that funny, to me, for my taste, is impossible.
No, it's not
impossible. There are some good ones. I like Christina Pajitsky, Tom Segura's wife.
Yeah.
Ali Wong has been.
She's pretty good. Liza Schlesinger.
I'm not.
You don't like her?
No.
I think she's kind of funny.
No, I hate.
I liked Amy Schumer.
I did too.
She's funny.
I did like, and you know who I liked even more than Amy Schumer was her friend Rachel Feinstein.
Oh yeah.
Who opened for her on one of her specials. She's really funny, and she's a good Instagram follow too. But Elijah, so you talk about, you know, I'm looking at the cover of Electric and like fucking fascinating piece of art. I mean, you've got pictures of all of them. You've got the band's name and the album's name in a really fucking righteous font.
That font is awesome.
That kind of looks like weapons that were made out of bones that he fucking needed to make to survive.
Asperger's wearing that bearskin, like a bear head or something like that.
So for a long time, it's been a thing in music where, you know, like Liz Phair and Sheryl Crow come out and they're not doing that.
No.
They're putting their face, their hot bod.
They know what sells.
And it's just, that sells records. Yeah. And then you get home and you're like, oh, your music's pretty good.
Pretty good.
You know, as opposed to how many artists did you listen to and worship and adore before you figured out what they look like?
Never knew.
And so, and then you get somewhere along that trajectory for females doing that. You get women that are aware of that and going to go against it and say, no, I'm not. I want you to like my songwriting and my guitar playing, and I don't want you to buy this record because I have big tits. And Eliza she's taking it back the other direction and saying, she's a very good looking gal. And she knows it, and she talks about it in her show. Mm-hmm. Like she talks often might be much, but
More than once.
yeah, about being hot and am I hot enough for this at this particular time and all this stuff. And she also, but really all she talks about is dating. And, you know,
And I will say that when the other parts of her comedy that's not about that is what I find humorous about
Okay.
her. The dating stuff, I agree with you.
See, I feel like
it's formulaic and
I feel like
dumb.
that's all. I don't know what the other parts are, and I've watched like all of her specials.
I'd have to go back because there's a specific one where she doesn't
Okay.
talk
Okay.
exclusively about dating.
So, and she, as she's continued to put out specials and continued to grow her fan base and be more successful, there's more effort and energy being put into her hotness and her look.
Yeah.
And, I mean, good for her. Like, you want to do that, you do that. But I mean, now she's like pigeonholed herself, I think, to where she does the hashtag thing, and then the hashtag thing's on the screen. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
Or she has, a dude like, whoa, and so then that's how all dudes speak.
Right, yeah.
Every boyfriend she's there is, or just some dumb dude that just is trying to fuck her. It's like, yeah, well,
Duh.
yeah. So, and then, she's just a lot of attention to fans showing up wearing like shirts with the hashtag, and just, I don't know, man. I just, I've seen her on a podcast episode, and she was a good interview. She's very intelligent.
Yeah.
It's just not for me, man.
No, the formulaic stuff I don't get into, and I think that's where a lot of female comics feel like they have to go.
Yeah.
And talk about dating and how it sucks to be a woman.
Yeah. Now there's like the stand-ups on Netflix, and then there's another streaming service that has like a whole season of up-and-comers. And, I'm like, I personally have watched probably a dozen different female half-hour segments, and I'm like, you got it. You are there. Right. You're going to be huge, and because you're funny, and you're not afraid, and you're not just pushing that
punching
button.
The same one, yeah.
And so I don't know exactly how we went down that, but the point was
that there aren't as many women comics as there are men.
Yeah. And anyway,
and I don't know how to address that because.
Oh, I know. Jenny Lewis.
Okay.
It's like I've been seeking a female artist in the world of music or the world of stand-up or both for my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And she is it, because she can write about she can capture real life moments.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel sincerely that a male listener and a female listener can equally identify. And it's not just, girl that had her heart broken or such and such happened, and so you immediately you're cutting off 50%.
Right.
She and also she's like she gets, I feel like she gets the male psyche and can sort of pivot and address it. Mm-hmm. And we're all like, oh yes, and she's so good at like little nuances and little sentiments. And I mean, some of her lyrics are silly. Like, she's got a song where she's talking about how fucking stupid the world is, and late in the song she just throws the words Candy Crush at the end of a line, as in case you weren't picking up on what.
Yeah.
Remember the Candy Crush?
Yeah.
Like,
how dumb
this is. This is why the aliens haven't come, because they're looking. They're like, Jesus,
fucking Candy
holy
Crush.
shit. Oh man. So, again, the point is that if I'm obsessing about somebody or preparing for an episode, then I'm like directly like, all right, I'm listening to this. But all the rest of the time, in the kitchen, cooking, driving around, shuffle.
Right.
And if I happen to come across a song or an artist that I like, then just fucking add it to my library, and remain hopeful that, you know, it's gonna make its way back into the and it's gonna get me again and be like, who the fuck? Oh yeah, I look these guys. That's why, because you know what I mean.
Right.
So how do you consume music today?
Spotify.
Okay, pay for it.
Yes.
Okay, happily.
Yeah.
Okay,
For the most part.
and
I've pissed away $10 a month on dumber things.
yeah. So are you going to playlists? Are you creating playlists? Are you going to a station that they make? What do you do?
Actually, Spotify, because I have certain things that I'll go and pick, but the version of Spotify that I have will make mixes for me
Okay.
based on stuff that they, you know,
Yeah.
and they'll go, you might also
Yeah.
like, and
Yeah.
then they'll make a whole mix list
Yeah.
of that.
One of the many, many fascinating things about fish shows is that the house music that's before first set and then comes back on for
After.
intermission,
Oh, okay.
and then at
after.
the end is always just fucking amazing. Like, there have been so many times where I've been there like, fuck, I wish that I had a way to know. Like, I guess Shazam.
Shazam.
I could, but it's never occurred to me. And would it even be able to hear amongst all
Where you are, yeah.
and every once in a while I'll be at a show and be like, I have this record and Fish is playing, you know. It's never their stuff.
No.
It's always other artists. So I'm in this Facebook group like a year ago, and somebody was like, I need some new music, and somebody posted this playlist from Spotify. It's all of the pre-show, set break, and post-show from 2009
That's insane.
to current. It's got like,
That's a Spotify playlist?
it's a Spotify playlist, and it's got,
I'm going to have to find that.
let's see here. Uh, 525 hours and 20 minutes. And I mean,
That's incredible.
One time, let's see here. I'll just send it to you right now so I don't forget. When I first discovered it, I wanted to just scroll all the way through alphabetically the lists of albums, because that's what it's entire albums. And I mean, I'm telling you, 15 plus minutes. Like, my wrists started getting sore, and I was tired of looking at the screen.
Right.
Because there's so much fucking music on it. In fact, the gal that put it together, I later discovered, is the band's creative manager.
Oh.
Which was not an occupation, I don't think, when we were kids. Like, I'm going to do that when I grow up.
Yeah.
Not the manager
That's a
is
new
handling
yeah, no, that's a
fucking
new title.
bookings.
Yeah.
And
creative
but
manager.
her name's on there, so I found her on Twitter, and I messaged her like 3 times being like, I want you in the chair. And just, I mean,
Right.
I see her, like, you know, I'll see her tweet and be like, you didn't see my DM? Like, what the, like, my guy, for episode 8, he brought, have you ever watched 200 Motels?
Uh-uh.
Holy shit, dude. It's a movie that Zappa made,
Oh.
and Ringo plays him. And it's fucking out there. I mean, there's a segment where, you know, kind of like how the South Park characters don't really like have feet and walk.
Right.
They just kind of hover.
Right.
There's dudes hovering around going churches and liquor stores, and it's you think about it, it's like we do have a lot of those in this country.
Well,
like,
yeah.
but it's super super weird.
Okay.
And then there's another movie, and they're you can't find them. Like they just like whenever you hear of like Louis' show.
Right.
Did you watch that? His show that used to be on FX?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Have you tried to look for it?
Yeah, it's gone.
It does not, like, it has been scrubbed.
Yeah.
And I think back to the stupid fucking Zappa Family Trust, God bless you, but those movies, you can't find them. One, he hired the London Philharmonic Symphony or Orchestra or whatever to do music for this, and he made him sign a contract. And then he took all the music and put the movie out, and there's like, there's abortion shit and all kinds of just crazy stuff in there. And they were like, we're suing the ever living shit out of you because you did not. And he won because he had him.
Right.
I mean, of course he won. But it's really, really fucking bizarre. I lost my train of thought again. 200 motels. Just the fact that it was scrubbed. Anyway, that playlist, it's funny because I'll like DM her on Twitter and I'll see that she's tweeting and not. Oh, that's what it. So he's trying to get this Zappa movie, out there, and so he's like, so I reached out to Dweezil on Facebook, and I was like, you did what? And I was like, what were you like? Hey man, it's me.
Yeah.
Like, for me, do it right. Like the same deal. The stranger, can you fly to Kansas City and come sit in my basement for 2 hours while I talk to you about this thing that has your name on it on Spotify? Oh yeah, I'll be there Sunday.
Yeah.
Is that what... But I mean, this I was keeping track, because I'm telling you, it's all that plays, and I don't pay. So I hear a lot of ads,
Sure.
And most of the ads are Spotify trying to get me to pay,
Right.
saying like, we cultivate playlists for you based on what you like. And I'm like, whatever, just keep playing your commercials because I already pay for Apple Music and I'm happy with it there. But there are so many times where I'm like doing whatever in the kitchen and I'm like, who the fuck is this? In the most, when you hear a brand new piece of music to you and it's
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, I'm all about this. And so at one point I had added, I stopped counting in the 70s, 70 albums that just to my collection that now will
Cycle through.
Yeah, on the shuffle. And I mean, it very well could be at 100 by now, but I mean, there's fucking not a bad song on there and I'm telling you, I've never made it to the end. I've had to start over if the Wi-Fi cuts out or if I actively choose to listen to something else. But I don't know that I'll ever make it to the end of it. And it's like, that literally is what I've been wanting most of my adult music loving life, is to have this just endless bag of incredible music that I had to put zero effort into obtaining, and now it just gets injected, and so it's always playing in my kitchen.
Incredible.
It is so that playlist is incredible, and I want to have her on so I can just fucking be like, we're not worthy,
I can't wait to listen to it.
Yeah, it's really just I don't even think about listening to music anymore, like. Unless I got something specific, it's just that playing, and still there's times this week where I've been like, who the fuck, all right, adding that.
Yeah.
There's been many times where I'm like, who is this? And I look and it's somebody I already did that for. I'm like, oh yeah, I already did this. Just have another beer. Oh man, what did we miss? What are we forgetting?
Fuck. I don't know. We've hit music, hockey.
Mm-hmm. So Emma is freshly graduated. She's working.
She is working. She did get a bit of bad news because she had interviewed with the Japanese education. It's JET, and I can't remember exactly what it was. But had she been accepted, she would have moved to Japan and been teaching Japanese kids how to speak English.
Whoa.
She speaks flawless Japanese.
What?
Yeah. She threw her heart and soul into the Japanese program at KU.
Because
She's always been fascinated by Asian culture, which started by me, because I sat her down and had her watch Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai.
Okay.
Because I've always been kind of fascinated by I've read a couple books about feudal Japan and samurais and stuff like that. So it came from that, and she speaks flawless Japanese.
Wow.
It's amazing. But they turned her down for it, so she is actually going to have to get a real job, unfortunately.
So there's a section on this shelf that is like, I mean, half of the shelf is books by one dude.
Mm-hmm.
Did you read On the Road? Jack Kerouac?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Do you remember it?
I mean, it's been 100 years.
Okay. That was like, talked about narcissism earlier and like feeling it, and be like, oh, like, that's why I try to dress casual.
Exactly.
That was probably the first, well, maybe Catcher in the Rye was, but On the Road was one of those, it's like, I don't know how everybody's going to react when I tell them that this book was written for me, but I hope it's with positivity and open arms.
Yeah.
And then I've learned that like most dudes that have read that book also, and they're like, what do you mean for you? It was, love it. It's, the open road and a road trip and just partying and, kind of sort of free love. But Kerouac's book, The Dharma Bums, is
Now, I've heard of that one.
way better in my opinion. And he goes, the main dude goes off with a different dude. Only this time it's like, it's been forever since I read it, but it's more like we're Tibetan monk nature. It's not cars and cigarettes and girls. It's your inner, and there's meditation and shit in it. And they play a game called Yab Yum, where you just have a girl, sit on your lap facing you, and I'm pretty sure everybody's naked, and so there's probably some other stuff happening. I'm like, oh, I want to play that game.
Yeah.
Like, but it's your crew. So, it's either like relationships are sprouting or like there's just like perpetual awkwardness because you're like, well, last night you were, that. Huh.
Did we play Yab Yum last night?
So the guy that's the guy that the other guy is a character based on Gary Snyder.
Oh, okay.
And he's a poet. So very much part of that like California 60s beatnik crew, but he went the direction of Eastern thought. And he's been to Japan. I feel like he lived there for a good chunk. He taught there. I mean, point being, there's lots of pictures of the country and sort of passages where you're kind of just, like right into the Japanese culture, and it's almost like you can feel it and smell it and taste it, and it's like calling. It makes you like, it feels like Japan is like, come see for yourself.
Yeah.
So I've always had a very like fantastical, I hate to say bucket list, because I would I don't want to just go like there and then come. I would love to just go and like hang out for 3 months.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so,
Emma's been there a couple times.
Okay.
And she absolutely loves it. I mean, we were already planning my visit.
I was just gonna say,
there. Yeah.
did you visit?
Yeah. No, if she had moved there,
Okay.
we were already planning my trip over.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how often are you seeing her these days?
We text mainly because
Right.
she's like, I mean, I'm assuming she'll get unbusy now that she's out of school.
Right.
And just,
Didn't you tell me not too terribly long ago that you guys would try to carve out like a Saturday? Is that still?
we
Okay,
still
cool.
do that.
And her mom is where?
They live in Lawrence now. They had been living in Eudora, but they've all moved to Lawrence.
Is she remarried?
Oh yeah.
And then
Long time
But Emma doesn't live with them, does she?
I think she is right now. She rents out the basement of the house that they live in. Her and her boyfriend.
Oh, she has a boyfriend?
Yeah.
Is he cool?
Oh yeah, he's
Nice.
great. He's a great kid. I say kid. He's like 30 something.
Okay.
But he's Japanese. Kozo is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Kozo is his name. They
Okay.
are so cute together.
Nice.
Because he talks to her in English and she answers him in Japanese. It's
Wow.
so fucking cute.
That's like fucking postcard shit.
yeah.
So do you have any reason to engage with her mom at all, or
No.
so
no.
there's nothing? No.
Oh no, not really. I mean, she will text me from time to time if she sees something cool
That's
about
cool.
hockey.
Nice.
Because she was a skater. I met her at King Louis.
Neil Diamond, right? You like? No, not
Yeah.
even close.
She texted me something about Jaromir Jagr
Okay.
a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's a friendly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Man, not that I was oblivious before, but now that I've, got boots on the ground in Camp Divorce, like there's a lot of situations out there where it is fucking not pretty.
Oh no.
And I'm like, what?
Out of all the situations where it could have been, we were never married,
Right.
but out of the divorce type situations where there's a child involved, mine worked out about as well. I stuck the landing pretty much. It worked out as well as it could have.
I just, man, we were talking before outside about full plate and making room for a slice. And
right.
like, you can't, if I open up,
Yeah.
don't be, and then there are people that just have, that's part of their life. Like every day is just fucking, somebody's going to plant the flag and claim this victory, and there's going to be casualties. And then tomorrow we're doing it again. And I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind?
No. Why would you do
How?
that to yourself?
How?
Yeah.
I mean-
yeah. How would you do that to yourself? I have no want or desire for a girlfriend or wife. I just nothing good comes out of that
man.
shit.
That's right. Man, this has been a blast.
Absolutely.
And again, I know I've said it, but first of all, a gift of time is huge. And I was like, I should have, when I woke up at 9 and was immediately dealing with diarrhea I should have hit you up then, but I was like terrified to like shift because I'm so, and here's the thing, when people are like, yeah, okay, Tuesday the 26th, and then a couple days, hey, we still, nah, or day of, I just,
Yeah, I know if like when you gave me the option to do a Saturday, I'm like, I do absolutely nothing on
Right.
Saturdays when I'm not working.
Well, so the thing is that, and I'm not there yet. It's a skill that I'm just now fostering from a seedling. But
Right.
I want to get a bank of episodes like recorded and edited, because I want to put out an episode a week.
Sure.
And right now I have nothing. So if somebody cancels, I don't have an episode to drop.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll drop yours Thursday. I'm dropping them on Thursdays. I'll
Okay.
drop yours next Thursday. But I'm also, hopefully, this is a potential bail, recording on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to get to a point where if something's going on in my life for the week and I can't record or produce, put it, I have one.
have enough, yeah.
Or if somebody bails, I'm not fucked.
Right.
So to when somebody, you're in that sort of courtship,
Right.
like, and then, okay, album, and now we're talking dates, and there's some investment and some commitment. It's this like overwhelming feeling of gratitude because you can never get time back.
Right.
And so for somebody to say, yeah, I'll carve it out and I'll give it to you. And they've given it to me. And then like last second, I'm like, can we move it back an hour? I was terrified. And finally I was like, just fucking text him. Like, you know, and you're like, sure. I was like, Jesus. Why do I, you know,
put yourself through that? Yeah. No, I ditched a bachelor party so I could come do this because I was that
what?
stoked about it. Yeah.
Wait, what? That's going on right now?
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably still get to it, couldn't you?
I mean, yeah, but I didn't know how long we were going to do whatever we're doing. So I was like, I'll probably be a game time decision, but no, I wasn't real committal.
Okay. Where is it going down and who's it for?
Oh, it's down for one of my buddies that I used to work with at Tipsy's.
Okay.
And I think they're doing something closer to downtown. I can't remember what the text thread was.
It doesn't involve your couch and a cocktail in your hand.
Yeah, it's just I actually almost thought about like, hey, we can do that, but at my place.
Right. Yeah.
The drinks are way cheaper.
Yeah, way cheaper, and no gratuity.
And I can get naked anytime I want.
I'm not here looking to. Your comfort doesn't matter to me. It's what this guy wants.
Boxers and a cocktail glass. That's it.
All right, man. Like I said, if all goes well, I'll have it Thursday, and I'll shoot it your way. And
absolutely,
feel free to do with it whatever you want.
This was a straight up blast.
Cool, man.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Talk to you.